Hey guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna be looking at myself. So I'm gonna be looking off camera because I'm not gonna be doing this the whole time. I want to see what I look like. Just letting you know up front. Second of all, I'm probably not gonna make any cuts or edits on this, so you're just gonna see this in real time. You can watch that clock in the back. That is not actually the real time because I have clocks set up for all over the world. For me, the middle clock is the right time, so it is like 9:10 or something. Okay. We'll see how long this takes to tell. I am not really wearing any makeup because I wasn't planning on filming this. Right now, I've been waiting, as you guys know, if you've been keeping up, I've been waiting to get more people's point of views for my story. And I really was just gonna wait till sometime later this week. But this is really the only time I have alone. My sister lives with me and she works from home. So she's always home. So I don't really have time alone. And she just left at like 9 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm so tired. I should be going to bed. But I'm like, you know what? I really want to do this without like feeling like I'm annoying anyone or bothering anyone, which she said is fine, but it's my own thing. Like, I just feel like I can't be as expressive if there's somebody else in the house. So I'm hoping that nothing goes wrong with, while I'm filming. Let's manifest everything goes great. I'm going to plug my phone in, make sure it doesn't die or anything. What you see behind me is, that's a planet. It's a planet. Oh, I can't reach it. Okay. It's a planet balloon. Oh God, you guys saw me look like a big old blob. It's a planet balloon that my sister got me for my birthday. And I have like all the astronaut and spaceships over there that I wanted to have set up for this. Don't have. This is literally in the raw right now. And of course I had the planet Earth and Antarctica. We know what goes on over there. I again don't really have any makeup on. I just put like a little bit of blush on and to not look like complete death. Okay, this is not how I wanted to film it. But I am wearing the same shirt that I wore during my retreat. It just says Joshua Tree on it. Ooh, I don't know if you guys can see Joshua Tree. Because I wanted to like be back in the moment, you know what I'm saying? And my trusty scrunchie, which at one point during the trip, I went to put it on and it felt like crunchy. And it's not crunchy, it's very soft. It felt like crunchy paper. And I was like, what the heck? And then I was like, oh, it's my hair dye. So, okay. Oh my God. Let's start from the beginning, you guys. First of all, to my family. I know you're watching this. Hi, welcome. I know you're obsessed with me. Listen, if you're watching this, especially my parents, hi. I'm glad you're watching this. This is something that you need to see and hear. And yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you to everybody in my family that's so nosy that couldn't keep their nose out of my business and is watching this video. Like I care. If I cared, I wouldn't be putting it on YouTube, right? But I know you guys are all over there probably talking mad shit about me and whatever the fuck I'm doing. I'm living my best life. Don't worry about me. We're good. But I really am living my best life and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm glad that you're here. And I hope that my experience helps you understand something because probably need it. So that's the first thing I wanted to get out of the way. Okay, so if you haven't been keeping up with all of my stuff on my Instagram and on my TikTok, I've been talking about how I went to an ayahuasca retreat recently. I have all of the information up on my Instagram and my TikTok. Go check that out. I don't want to have to recap all that. I will say though, people were asking me about the information on where to go and stuff like that. And I said, do not do it unless you're called to do it. And they were like, what does that mean, called to do it? And I said, you will know. You'll know. She will find you. She will call you. She will make sure you go. And so let me tell you guys how this happened for me. So when let's see, it was maybe like around March, I started thinking about my birthday. Some of you know my birthday's on May 20th. And I started thinking about my birthday and I turned 35 this year and I'm thinking, man, what do I want to do for my birthday this year? I usually go out, celebrate, go out to eat, hang out with friends kind of thing. And this year it was like I didn't want to do any of that. It was like nature was calling me. Nature wanted me to be with her. And I was like, nature, girl, I don't do that. I like to be in my bed watching TV and on my phone. Like I do, and in the AC. Like I don't want to be out in nature in May. Like, are you crazy? But it was like, no, you want to be in nature. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll do like Lake Tahoe. But I thought, well, I don't want to go to Lake Tahoe alone. Like, I feel like that should be with someone. But then I thought, well, I don't want to make anybody take off work to hang out with me on my birthday. So what should I do? And then all of a sudden, like, ayahuasca popped in my head. And I'm like, I didn't actually even remember the name of the plant. I literally went up to my sister and I was like, hey, what's that name of that plant that like Chelsea Handler did on her Netflix show? And she was like, ayahuasca. And I was like, yes, I think I want to do that. And she was like, did you watch the True Life episode of doing ayahuasca? And I was like, no, there's a True Life episode. And she was like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. And she was like, you should watch it. So I came in my room and lo and behold, out of like 4 True Life episodes that the streaming app had, which is I think Paramount, that episode was one of them. So I was like, okay, cool. So I watched it and I was like, I want to do ayahuasca because, as some of you know, I had on my birthday last year, I did shrooms and I astral projected, and I was right here in my bed, my trusty dusty bed, and I astral projected and saw a lot of sexual abuse that had happened, and the main thing was Disney. I kept saying Disney, Disney, Disney. I was like, what the fuck did you do, Disney? What did you do? Like, and then all of a sudden I just saw millions of children's lives that Disney has affected. I was bawling my eyes out. And then it like astral projected me through time and started taking me to other areas where these things happened. And then I started seeing people I personally knew that things had happened to. And like afterwards I asked these people like if this was true and they did confirm it. So that was like my big astral projection. It was really long. It was like a 3-hour trip and I like filmed the entire thing and I was talking out loud, talking about all the visions that I was seeing in my head. But I astral projected and after that, nothing. Like shrooms can't get me high anymore. So I'm like, okay, well, I really want to keep leveling up and like connecting to my higher self and like figuring shit out. So what should I do? And then ayahuasca popped in my head, right? So anyway, so I'm sitting here and I start like looking up places where I can do ayahuasca. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should go to Costa Rica. Maybe I should go to Costa Rica. Me, literally have never been out of the country. I didn't even have a passport. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to Costa Rica to do ayahuasca by myself. What's wrong with you? So anyway, I thought, yeah, I want to do this. I found this place that was going to be very intimate because I didn't want to do it with a lot of people. I wanted to be really, really small. I found this place that was going to be like out in the rainforest, like in this person's like house that does it, and had all 5-star reviews. All the reviews were really good. And it was only going to be like up to 6 people, but it was only 2 ceremonies for $1,700. But I still was willing to pay it because I was like, that's fine. I want to do ayahuasca. But what was getting in my way was the fact that I didn't have my passport. And yeah, this was back in March. And I was like, well, I have to get my passport first. But then I started looking for passport appointments and they were pretty booked up until the end of March. And then I was like, well, by the time I get my passport, even if I expedite it, I'm not going to get it in time to go to Costa Rica. So I guess I can't go to Costa Rica. I had even emailed the place and everything. So I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to be able to go to Costa Rica. So, that's when I was talking to my ex and he was like, oh, you know, my dad's parents do ayahuasca all the time at this place here in California. Like literally you don't even have to go far. And I'm like, no, I really don't want to do ayahuasca in California. Like that just doesn't sound legit. And I feel like you should really go and do it like in the Amazon. And he was like, no, like they do it all the time and, you know, they love it and da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, no, thank you, no. And he's like, okay, I'm going to send you the information anyway. Check it out. And I'm like, no. And I kept saying no, like I didn't want to do it. He's like, can you just look at it? And so like I opened it and I still was like, this looks like really culty. I do not want to do this. I just didn't like it. I like the info at the beginning. I felt very aggressive to me, and it was like, this isn't here if you just want to trip balls, pretty much. You know what I was saying? And I was like, okay, like I appreciate that, but also like, okay, calm down with the aggressiveness. Like it just felt like that, and like maybe that's just how I read it. Maybe that's not how they really like came across. Maybe because like now reading it, it doesn't look that way, but like back then that's how it read it. And maybe it's just my own perception of like I didn't want to be there, so I took it as like, you know, I was finding an excuse, right? So anyway, of course I ignored it and I was like, I'm not doing that. And then I just ignored it and I was like, whatever, I'll figure it out. Or I just won't be able to do ayahuasca. Maybe I'll do it like next year after I get my passport, whatever. I kind of let it go. And then literally like the same weekend or a week later, his dad came in to eat at my restaurant with the friends that go and do ayahuasca all the time at the place I went to at Hummingbird Church. Which, by the way, I thought it was weird that it was called Hummingbird Church. I was like, a church? I don't want to go to a church. And he was like, no, like they just have to call it that because they have to be able to legally serve the ayahuasca. And so they have to call it something. They can't just be like, we're just serving ayahuasca in the United States. That's illegal. So they have to say that so they can serve it legally. And I was like, okay. And so anyway, so I'm at work and his dad comes in with these people. And so, you know, I say hi to his dad and the couple comes in and, you know, we meet and I was like, oh, wait, I was like, I think, so his stepmom started telling the lady, her name is Maddie, started telling Maddie like, oh, this is Alex. She does hilarious TikToks because of my Alex serves. That's what she would see. And she just won. It was this right when I had won my grant for the Expose the Pepper series. And so they were telling her like, oh, she just won a grant for her Expose the Pepper. Like she's really for like what is it, workers' rights and has been fighting for this. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm in affordable housing. And we just started really bonding over the fact that like she works for, you know, the people as well. She's really into affordable housing and fighting. And I was like, oh my God, we were talking about housing costs and all this stuff, the rise of housing costs. So we really bonded over that. And then it clicked and I was like, wait, are you the one that does ayahuasca? And she was like, yeah, my husband and I, or boyfriend or whatever, we do ayahuasca all the time. And I was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Cause like Ryan, my ex, just sent me the information for that Hummingbird Church, but I just wasn't sure about it. Can I, you know, talk to you about it? And she was like, oh yeah, definitely. And so, you know, they were eating and I didn't really want to bother them too much, but I was like, do you mind if I get your information so we can talk later? And she's like, oh my God, yes. And she was like, and I was just kind of like, is it legit? She's like, it's amazing. Like we do it all the time. You're going to love it. And she was like, I'm just so happy for you that you are hearing the call, that she's calling you. Like, it's going to be a life-changing experience. You don't even know. And I was like, yeah, I really want to. And so I got her information and I gave her a call like the next day, a couple days later, whatever. And we talked for a little bit and she was like, let me give you somebody else's number that actually like works there. And then you can talk to him. And I'm like, okay. So she gives me this guy's number and I talked to him for like, no joke, like an hour. I'm on the phone with him for like an hour, like interviewing him. Like, you know, you have to do an intake form to do it. I was interviewing them. I was like, I want to know that this is legit. I want to know that this isn't just a trip balls kind of thing, even though you put that on the webpage. Like, I need to know that this is a real spiritual experience because that's what I wanted. I didn't want it to be like a fucking drug fest. I wanted it to be a spiritual experience. And so I'm sitting here interviewing him and he's like, damn. Like you could tell, he was like, who are you? Like, why are you asking me so many questions? But yeah, he answered like all my questions. And then he's like, I'm going to give you the number of the one that's in charge of it. So then he gives me her number. And so I call her and I do the same thing with her and kind of interview her, and pick her brain about everything. And I had told them that I was like, I wasn't sure because it seems like the bio is a little aggressive. And they were like, sorry, it's just, we've had a lot of people come who literally just think it's like a party and aren't taking it seriously. And this is very much a serious experience. This is very much for healing and growing, not for a party. And I'm like, okay, sorry, I have to sneeze. Okay, so I said I wasn't gonna make any cuts, but I didn't want you to watch me sneeze. I'm so tired. You guys can see it in my eyes. Also, I figured like if I cut and make them into like 15-minute increments, it'll be a lot easier to load up instead of like one huge long file. So anyway, they were like, sorry, it's just like people come and just want to, you know, get fucked up, and like that's not what we're about. I'm like, okay, good, that's exactly what I wanted to know. So I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna do it. And it was like a sign because it fell on my birthday. Like it fell on May 20th was the first ceremony, and that's the day I was turning 35, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do this so bad. So for the next couple months, I was so excited. I wouldn't stop talking about it at work. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna do ayahuasca. I'm so excited. And everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're gonna do ayahuasca. One girl at work did ayahuasca, and she said she got stuck like as a spider in a spider web. And she was like, for eternity. It was so long. I just got stuck there. And I was like, oh no. But like, that was pretty much it. She didn't really like have anything crazy. So my birthday rolls around. So May 20th rolls around. Oh, first, what happened was, so I had signed up for the May 20th one, right? And then I remember it saying, like, I had to pay my deposit right away. And then it said, like, oh, you know, you'll pay the rest. I thought it said, like, a week before, right? So I'm like, okay, so, like, a week before comes, and I still haven't gotten, like, a request to pay for it. And so I searched my email, and I'm like, maybe they sent it and I didn't see it. So I searched my email, and it was like, oh, here's your, like, you know, payment request. They had sent it like April 27th, but it said it was for the June dates. And I was like, no, like I signed up for May. So I ended up contacting them, and I was like, hey, I signed up for the May dates, and like it's giving me the June dates, and I haven't paid, and I really don't want to lose my spot, because it was like, if you didn't pay within a certain date, like it would be non-refundable deposit. And I was like, no, like I don't want to lose my spot. And so they were like, oh, sorry, we accidentally registered you for the wrong dates. We'll send you the right one right now. And thank God, because I would have been late on my payment, because I didn't notice that they had sent me an invoice request or whatever, payment request. So it literally worked out the way it was supposed to. I'm like, thank God they fucked up, because like I would have been fucked over, right? So anyway, so May 20th rolls around, and it's my time to shine. First of all, I did go on a stricter diet of like the whole week. I ate, you know, obviously no drugs, no alcohol, no soda. I already don't eat pork, so no pork, and no pasta, no rice, and like cut back on sugar, and pretty much I was just eating fish. I ate fish for the whole week with vegetables and potatoes. And my breakfast was the breakfast I always eat for work, which is just 2 boiled eggs with half of an avocado and some turkey, and coconut yogurt with berries, some granola, peanut butter, and bananas. So I eat that every day for work, and that's what I still ate, because it's all vegetarian. Well, no, it's not vegetarian because I eat turkey, but it's very like, you know, nothing heavy, nothing bad that I wasn't allowed to eat. And then at dinner, I just ate the vegetables and the fish, and potatoes. So it was really good. And then the day before I ate vegan, but then I fasted for 24 hours. So the 24 hours before the ceremony, I fasted. I didn't want to eat anything, and I was just on a water fast. And then the retreat was 2.5 hours away from me. Driving there, it went by really fast. There wasn't traffic, and I was on the phone the whole time. And then I get there, and if you guys have been on my Instagram or TikTok, you saw the location. It was great. I loved it. I took my car to sleep in, but I didn't actually sleep in it because I didn't sleep the whole weekend. So night 1, I get there. I don't know anyone. I sign in. I meet some of the people, like the people that were going to be helping the volunteers, and I'm walking up, and I hear this guy say, yeah, today's my birthday. And I walk up and I go, today's your birthday? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, today's my birthday. And he's like, no way, I've never met anybody with my birthday. And I was like, really? I meet people with my birthday all the time. And I was like, how old are you turning? And he was like 35. And I was like, me too. And he's like, no way. And we like bonded right away. And so I gave him a hug. His name is Cole. I love him. He's my bestie, my twin, my birthday twin. They called us the twins the whole weekend. And then it was just so crazy. He goes, oh my God, this makes me feel so much better. Like, I just was so nervous. I've never done this before. I was really scared and I didn't know if I wanted to. I originally had signed up for the June one and then they pushed it up to this. And I was like, I signed up for this and they put me on the June one. Like, what the fuck? It was so crazy. He was like, oh my God, really? And so he was like, it's my birthday and I was supposed to be spending it with my girlfriend and all of a sudden they moved it and we're long distance. And so she was like, okay, I see you for like a few hours and then you're leaving me again for 3 days. And then I was like, oh no. And then he goes, yeah, but look. And then he like pulled out this fortune cookie little thing, fortune, that said like surround yourself with, it was something about like the experience we're going through, like surround yourself with new things to experience new experiences or some shit. I don't know. Cole, if you see this, tell me what it was. I don't remember. Anyway, but it was very fitting. And so he's like, oh my God. And then he goes, where did you come from? And I was like, oh, San Diego. And he was like, oh my God, can I get a ride back? That's where I have to go. That's where my girlfriend lives, San Diego. I was like, shut up. And I was like, yeah. And I just said yeah right away. And I was like, okay, why did I say yes to this guy? I don't know. By the way, he looks like Jesus. One who looks just like Jesus. Like what Jesus, the stereotypical Jesus that we see all the time. The long hair, a chiseled bod, like, great eyes, like nice smile, like literally looked like Jesus. And so I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, I'll give you a ride back, whatever. Right. So we go inside and like, I got there late because I was waiting for traffic to die down. So you had a time span of from 5 to 8 to arrive. And I got there literally at like 7:30 or 7:45. I was like, I want to be there as late as possible because I was like, I don't want to just sit around and do nothing. And I don't want to sit in traffic even longer than I have to. So I waited and I got there at like 8. And then, so by this time, everybody had like picked their mats. And I was like, okay, like, where am I gonna? And it was like so jam-packed. Like, if you guys see the video on TikTok, you can see like how close we are together. And so I'm like, okay. And somebody was like telling me like, oh, like find a mat and whatever. And if you don't see stuff on it, and I'm like, I don't know. So anyway, sorry, I'm getting like allergies. So I'm walking around and somebody goes, oh, there's a mat open here. And I was like, oh, okay. So I picked that mat. And it's funny because the lady that was next to me was actually walking in with me. Like we were walking next to each other when we first got there. And I had asked her like if she needed any help. And she was like, no, I'm good. And so it's funny that we ended up being like bed buddies right next to each other. And then I pick my mat and I'm in the second row to the right, like facing the shaman. And diagonal behind me, like right against the wall, was Cole. And Cole's like, oh my God, we're here. We're right next to each other. And I was like, oh my God, yay. Like I have my buddy here and I have the girl that I like talked to when we first got here. So I'm like, okay, we're good. Like I'm kind of feeling these people, right? And then I started meeting the people around and I met, Rainey, and she's great. And, all of our birthdays were the same. So like me and Cole's birthday was that day. And then like Rainey's was on like a few days later. And then Cynthia's was going to be 5 days later. And so like everybody had the same birthdays in our little corner. And we're like, oh my God, this is so crazy. So we're there for a little bit. And then Courtney, who's the leader of, the whole thing, just starts talking, kind of easing us in, kind of talking about it, like the whole process, tells us that they're going to collect phones and keys and that, it's going to be like a whole thing, right? And that the shaman's going to come in, and when you see him come in with all his stuff, that means he's ready to go, kind of thing. But before that, you're going to do a breathing exercise with Vitaly. And so we do this breathing exercise, and holy fucking shit, if you guys haven't seen, I've talked about him on my TikTok and my Instagram. Please go follow him. It's Witalij, but it's pronounced Vitaly. He's like, sorry, Vitaly, I don't know where you're from. He's like Russian or Ukraine or something like that, from that area. But he's like 7 feet tall, and he is fucking amazing. So, so he started having us do breath work. And he was like, have any of you ever done breath work? And like some people had and some people hadn't. And he was like, okay, whatever you've learned in the past, throw it out the window. You're going to start completely brand new with me. And he was like, I'm not trained in anything at all. But I know what I'm doing. I do this for thousands of people throughout the country every single week. Trust me, just let go and do what I say. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, what are we just going to breathe? Okay, sure. And so it's like these really intense breathing exercises. And if you haven't seen it, like I said, go to his Instagram. It's Vitality. So WITALITY. And you can see what it's like. And like, he has his testimonials on there for a reason. So it's very intense, and he will walk you through the breathing. Like you're going to breathe into your stomach really big. You're going to blow up your stomach like a balloon, and then you're going to exhale, and then you're going to like, then you're going to inhale, and you're going to bring it up to your chest, and you're going to bring it into your throat, and then you're going to exhale really loud, and then you're going to like it was like, he said, you're going to like do it like a kind of like a straw, but like that. And you're like doing this like super intense breathing exercises, and it's like keeps getting more intense and more intense, and he's walking you through, and he's like, come on, one more minute. And it's like a workout for breathing. And he has like this music playing in the background, and he's like, okay, now come on, I need you guys to be back. I need you guys to be louder. I need you to breathe deeper. I need you to exhale louder. And so we're like, doing all this shit. And you're laying down, and you have like, I have my sleep mask on, and I'm laying down, and I can just feel like all of the fucking energy through my body start like just raging and vibrating. And I'm like, and I'm doing these fucking intense breathing exercises like I've never breathed before. And he was like, pretend you're like really angry, you're gonna punch someone, and you're super mad at someone, like all this shit. And all of a sudden, my hands, it's like my entire body was pins and needles. And I'm like, oh my God, it felt like a Charlie horse for my entire body. But then my freaking hands got stuck in this position. They got stuck in this position for about 15 minutes. I could not move them. And so I'm sitting here laying down with my hands like this, completely stuck. And I'm like, and I had my sleep mask on, and I like wanted to see what my hands looked like. So I remember I like brought it up to my sleep mask, and I like lifted up, and I'm like, the fuck? Like I felt like a fucking dinosaur. I couldn't get my hands undone. I was like, they were legit stuck in this position until he like eased us out of it. And then he was like, okay, relax, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, you're gonna start to feel your hands get back to normal. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Like, I literally got so stuck. And then so we did that, and then there was a point where he started really getting deep. And some people were like, you could start hearing people getting vocal. I don't know if people were screaming yet. Maybe a few, but people just started, and getting a little loud, and I started crying. He got to the part where he started talking about moms, and my mom and I are like on the rocks right now. Mom, if you're watching this, hi. So he got to the part where he started talking about moms, and he said, I know Mother's Day just passed, and I know some of you are having a really hard time telling your mom that you love them. And I got emotional, like I'm getting emotional now, because I was like, oh my God. And the song that started playing in the background was Josh Groban's You Lift Me Up. And Josh Groban is my favorite artist. I love him. I've seen him in concert twice. And You Raise Me Up was like the first song I ever heard of him on Oprah. And I fell in love with him. And the fact that that's the song that he started playing when he started talking about moms, I just fucking lost it. And he was like, I want you, to know that, like, I know it's not easy. And, like, just know, these are my friend's shorts. It's not easy. And I know that you are fighting so hard, and I just want you to remember that, like, nobody could have walked in your shoes. You are so strong for what you've been through. You're so strong that you're still here. Remember that everything that is trauma has gotten you here, and you're not a victim. You have to let the victim mentality go. And, like, I kept like nodding because that's something that I'm very big about talking about, is not being a victim, and not staying stuck in the trauma. But that doesn't mean that you have to have a relationship with the person who caused you the trauma if they refuse to acknowledge that they caused you trauma and change their behavior. So that's what was the hard part. It was like, I know all this, you know, and what's hard is like feeling like the other person on the other side doesn't get it. So it was really hard, and I was bawling. I was like audibly bawling, like, you know, like that. And I was like, fuck, dude, like I was so emotional. And he's just so good. He was just like, nobody could have walked in your shoes. Think about all the people that aren't here anymore because they couldn't handle it, because they couldn't handle the struggles that you've been through, and you're still here. And those people couldn't hold on, and you're still holding on, and you're here to break those barriers. You're here to fight, because you want to be here, because you know that nobody else could walk in your shoes and that nobody else could do what you've done, and you're so strong that you've overcome it. Like, you need to be proud of yourself. You don't have to keep acting so strong all the time. You are strong. And it was just like the things he was saying, I was like, yo, like I was fucking bawling. It was just like so intense. Like, I can't wait to do another breathwork exercise with him. And it was amazing. And when it was over, I was like, holy shit, dude. And he goes, that was a short session. Thank you guys so much. Short session. It was an hour and 40 minutes of breath work. But I asked him how long his sessions usually are, and he said 2 hours to 2.5 hours. So that was a short session. I was like, okay, great. But I'm definitely gonna do more. And so yeah, so we did that, and I was like, wow, that was awesome. Like, that really tapped in. And if you watch his testimonials, they say like, I've done meditation, I've done this, I've done that, I've done everything under the sun, and nothing has affected me like this. And I just found out that he actually isn't trained. Well, he said that, but the way that he knows what to do is because he learned it under the medicine. So when he was under ayahuasca, she showed him what to do and taught him how to do it. And so it's like so crazy. So many people have found their gift under the medicine. There's another guy who like started doing ayahuasca, and that's when he found out that he needed to pursue music. And then he ended up being one of the musicians at our ceremonies. And so it's crazy. I was like, wow, people are really like finding out their gift. And she's really showing these people. So he's the real deal. You guys definitely should go. He travels all over the country. Definitely go to one of his stuff. So we take a little break, go to the bathroom kind of thing, and we come back and we start ceremony. We didn't start ceremony till fucking midnight on night one on Friday. So it was like, my birthday already passed. It's not even my birthday anymore. So at fucking midnight we started, and I'm getting allergies, so I sound nasally. Sorry about that, guys. So they started with this thing called rape. It's this like tobacco smoke that they like have in a pipe, and then they will blow it up both nostrils. And you can't chicken out, you got to do it on both. And what does, it's like it goes straight to the brain, and it's supposed to like, I guess, help with the medicine, to help it like activate faster. I was definitely not doing that because I already had allergies from the incense in the room. I'm very sensitive, so my allergies are always like acting up. So I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this shit to be fucking getting like, I will die. I don't like things up my nose. So I did not do that. And yeah, it like, they blow it up your nose, and people were just like sneezing and blowing their nose and literally blowing out like the tobacco the whole time. And then it would make some of them throw up, and they were like hawking up a loogie kind of thing. And I'm like, no thanks, I don't want to do that. Then after that, that's when he said, you know, the shaman he gave his speech, of course, before everything started. And then he said, okay, who has never done ayahuasca before? And if you haven't done ayahuasca, come up. And I was the first one up there. I was like, me. Ran up there real fucking quick. But then once I got up there, I go, oh, I don't want to be first. So I let one guy go in front of me. So one guy went in front of me, and then I went. And the shaman is Colombian, so he speaks Spanish. So he does this like thing. So the ayahuasca, It's made out of a plant. You boil it and you make it into a tea. And the stories that I had heard was like, oh, it's so disgusting. The girl next to me was like, I did it in 2009 and I haven't done it since because the taste has stayed with me all of these years and I can't imagine doing it again. I'm like, oh my God. Like, people say it's so gross. Like, it's the worst thing you've ever tasted. And I hate mushrooms. Like, I can't, even in like a fucking chocolate bar, the gummies, like I put it in every way that you can think of. I put it in my ice cream. I've put it in my orange juice. I put it in a smoothie. I put it in peanut butter and jelly. I've put it in pasta. I put it in every single thing you can imagine. I fucking hate the taste of mushrooms. It makes me gag every time. I hate mushrooms. So I was like, great, this is gonna be really bad. And so I went up there and I was like, oh my God. And so he does this thing and he's like, and they go, and then he gives it to you and he goes, salud something. He says salud something. I was like saying it the whole time and now I don't remember what it says. And then he hands you this little red Solo cup shot of this ayahuasca. And he gives it to me and I go, and I say it in Spanish in the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, en nombre del Padre, Hijo, del Espíritu Santo. And I like plug my nose because I was like, oh God, this is gonna be so bad. And I'm like, I take it and then I go, where do I throw this cup out? And people are like, oh, right there. But like, I didn't see where. I think I threw it in like a flower pot. And I was like, sorry, I don't know where it goes. And then I go, oh, that wasn't that bad. And then I walk back to my mat. It literally tasted like prunes to me. It didn't taste bad to me. It tasted like prunes. I used to eat prunes all the time because it helps settle your stomach. So I was like, oh, okay, it tastes like prunes. Like, it wasn't as bad as everybody said. So I go back to my mat and chill. And at that point, sorry, my nose is bothering me. Excuse me. At that point, I kind of just laid down in my mat and I waited for the medicine to hit me. And I felt a tingling little body high, kind of like when you're on shrooms and you can feel a body high, but like a really slight one. And I was like, ooh. And I think I remember the first night like seeing maybe a little bit of like images, nothing crazy. It kind of hit me like at first, like very slightly, but I don't even remember. And then I sobered up and then I was like, oh, okay. So I had one cup and it didn't hit me. Cole also, we were like looking at each other. It wasn't hitting us. It did hit some people, the first cup, right away. There was one girl who was in the back of the room and was like, am I dying? I'm dying. I'm having a heart attack. I'm dying. And they're like, you're not dying. You're not dying. You're okay. And she wasn't really freaking out. She was kind of like laying down there like, hey, do you want to go outside? Because she was kind of just like, you know, in her thing, like talking loud. She wasn't really even talking loud. I think they just wanted to help ground her. So like when you're kind of going through your freak out, they want to ground you. So they take you outside on the grass. So like, hey, let's go outside. And she's like, am I dying? Am I dead? And they're like, no, you're not dead. You're okay, you know. And then there was one in the front, in front of me, who kept being like, it's so scary. I need help. I don't like it. It's scary. And so there was like, the helpers would come and like sit next to her. She's like, it's okay. You're good. You know, to help calm her down. I'm sitting here sober and I'm like, okay. So they call for second cup. I do second cup. I didn't throw up after first cup. I drank second cup and I threw up during second cup, which again, I hadn't had anything in my system. So it's just liquid. I'm only throwing up what I just drank. So I'm just like, okay. And so then I tell Cole, I'm like, I'm sober. And he was like, I know. And we're not supposed to talk. So I was like, I'm sober. And he was like, me too. And so, we're like, okay. So we're just kind of chilling. And then like, some people are throwing up. So then there's like the helpers are walking around with napkins. They give you napkins if you start throwing up. And one of them walks by and Cole's like, hey, is it normal to not be feeling anything? And he goes, yeah, you need to ask the medicine why you're not letting it work on you. And I go, and like his back was towards me because he was talking to Cole. And I'm like, hey, what did you say? I don't feel it either. And he goes, you need to ask the medicine why you're not letting it work on you. And I'm like, what? And then Cole and I look at each other and we're like, I don't fucking know. Like, we want it to work on us. The fuck? Like, I'm like, medicine, work. Like, what are you doing? And so, we're just like kind of chilling. And then everybody starts really like going into their thing. Cause like the suggested amount is 2 cups. Like if you feel like after 1 cup, you can't handle it. And some people, the people that freaked out couldn't handle the second cup and ended up leaving after night 1, which I really wish they wouldn't have, because like, you got to keep going. You got to keep with the process going. It'll settle. You know, first night is going to be really hard. They say that first night is like, your first night is like showing you the really darkest shit. Now, don't go into it with any expectations. I tell people, do whatever you're thinking, throw it out the window. Do not go into it with any expectations. Don't even think about what you can set intentions. I didn't go into it really with any intentions, because I wanted the medicine to show me what it wanted to show me. What I went into it thinking that I was going to see was, oh, I'll probably see like, I really wanted to be more compassionate towards my parents and like be more understanding and not let them trigger me so much when they annoy me because they don't understand me and still try to tell me what to do at 35 years old. Or I would also like to see like, what can I do to serve others while serving myself, but still make money off what I'm doing, like career-wise. Like those are the two things that I was really thinking about. But again, I said, people set intentions, like they wrote it down. They gave us these little notebooks. The darkest nights produce the brightest stars. So they gave us these little notebooks to journal, and people were writing in their intentions. And I was like, I don't want to write my intention because I want the medicine to show me what it wants to show me. So I didn't write it in. And people were writing their stuff down, and I was like, okay, whatever. So you can go into it with intent, but I think it's always good to just let the medicine tell you what you need to see, because there's things we don't even know that we need to see. So at this point, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so I drink second cup, I throw up, nothing really happens. People start really going into their trance. And some people are, it was the most, and I'm used to like, I like sound, like I like being around people, but when I'm sleeping, and at this point, you know, I haven't eaten for like 36 hours by the next morning, and I didn't sleep. So I was getting like, I was so tired and I just wanted to sleep, but I couldn't because there's so many noises. It was so overstimulating. So people are retching, throwing up. So they give you this bucket, you know, with the trash bag in it. Everybody has a bucket, and you know, people are like, ugh, like the whole time, and you're just like, okay. And then there's like people that are going through really traumatic shit, and so they're like, ah, like the loudest fucking scream you could ever hear, which I don't want to scream that loud because of my neighbors, but they're like from the pits of your fucking soul, like, ah, the loudest scream you could ever hear. They're like, ah, and screaming and crying, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. That was me the entire night. And so then it was like a free-for-all. So like, you know, the helper came back and was like, hey, if you're not feeling the medicine, you can go back and get more. And so like Cole and I like sprint up there, get a third cup. Nothing happens throughout the night. I drink a fourth cup. I drank 4 cups and still nothing. Cole drank 5 cups and did 2 sessions of the rapid because they did it again. And I think what had happened was he drank 5 cups and he went up for the 6th, and the shaman was like, whoa, okay, like if you drink enough, I'll do a rapid session on you. And so he blew the smoke up him, and then he went into his trip and he did start tripping. And I was like, watching him, I'm like, oh, cool. I got nothing. So I was so tired. So the entire night I had the guy in front of me, vomiting for the first 3 hours nonstop, and I was like, bro, okay, like how are you doing this? Then he stops and knocks out, and the guy behind me starts throwing up for the last 3 hours. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And like this guy, he was all in, like he was like throwing his body, he's like, oh, like it was just coming out, and I'm like, dang, like let out those demons, baby, like you got this, you know. But it was in my ear. So his mat was right behind mine. And my head is laying down here, and he is throwing up at the foot of his bed. So it's right next to me. So he's like, ah! Like in my ear. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so loud. It's so loud. I just want to sleep. And it just got like the screams and the crying and like, oh my God. And then what would happen was, it's like, because I was sober, I'm watching this from the outsider's perspective, and I see like one person starts throwing up, the collective starts throwing up. One person starts crying, the collective starts crying. One person starts screaming, the collective starts screaming. One person starts laughing, the collective starts laughing. And I'm sitting here just like watching it from the outsider's perspective, and I'm like, it's so weird how like everybody kind of gets on the same wavelengths. So, you know, this isn't just like we're all just sitting there doing nothing. I mean, like in silence. The shaman is doing his thing. So he has this, I forgot what it's called. This plant that sounds like maracas, and it's like kind of thing. And then he's like saying his chanting. He goes through singing his chanting, doing his thing, doing his incense. And what he's doing is he's trying to pull the energy of the room. And so that's why when one person starts throwing up, the collective starts throwing up. And like I said, not every single person, but a lot of people that were on the same wavelength kind of start. And, you know, and then one person starts laughing, everybody's like going around doing this thing. Then, you know, there would be moments where the musicians would start playing, and, you know, mostly it was like the shaman was doing his thing because he's trying to pull the energy of the room. And I was exhausted and sober and awake. And I just kept getting up to go to the bathroom, and I was just kind of watching everyone, and felt like the night was never going to end. I wanted to just go to my car to sleep because I was so tired, and it was just so loud in there. And they don't let you because you know, obviously they don't want you in your car when you've had medicine. But like, I wanted to be like, dude, I'm like sober as fuck, can I please go to my car? But I just knew that I had to just follow the rules and just stay in there. And it was the longest night of my life. So finally, when it ended at 6 a.m. is when I made that video where I was like, hey guys, nothing happened. Pretty much nothing happened. And I was really upset, and I was really disappointed because I was like, damn, like my freaking tolerance is so high. Like now when I do shrooms, nothing happens. If I eat an edible, nothing happens. So I'm like, dude, my tolerance is so fucking high. Like why is ayahuasca not working in me? And I was like, I'm gonna be really mad if I came and nothing happens. And I remember talking to my sister. She's like, oh, that's so weird. But then she looked it up, and she was like, oh, it happens a lot to first timers because your body kind of builds a defense to it right away. And another reason, it's like, oh, it happens to really smart people. Thank you. Because your ego essentially knows what's about to happen and is protecting you. So your ego's like, we're good. We don't need to see that. Chill out. And so it's like too smart for the medicine, essentially, right? So I guess that's what was happening. And it's not your ego in a I'm better than you like kind of way. It's your ego. It's like your ego is your like, how do I say it? It's like more of your carnal self, but like it's your soul that knows, but then you have your higher dimensional self. And it just really just wants to protect you. The other thing that people say is the medicine is just working in you. So it won't hit you night one, especially if it's your first ceremony, because the medicine is feeling out your body. It is figuring out, okay, who am I in? What do I need to show her? What does she need to see? And it's just crazy to think about that. Like even a plant has a conscience. Like the plant knows what it's doing. And like it really did what it needed to do for everybody. So it's not bullshit. It's not like you took acid and tripped balls and like, you know, made out with a tree because you thought it was like your boyfriend. It was like legit, like it was digging deep to the fucking root of that you don't even know that you needed to see, and it will bring it back up, and you're like, huh? Like I didn't even know that was trauma. So like this is legit shit, okay? So the medicine, I guess, was like working in me. I took 4 cups, you know, night one, and felt nothing. So the next day I have those 4 cups in my system, whereas everybody else had 1 or 2. And so I had the 4 cups in my system. So Saturday, what happened was I laid out in my car. I took like a 2-hour nap. That's all I slept the entire trip. I took about a 2-hour nap. I couldn't eat anything because everything was gluten, and I'm gluten free. So like that was kind of annoying. But I also like still didn't want to eat. But then I talked to some people, and they said they did eat, and like maybe the eating helps. So I was like, okay, maybe I will eat. And I took a shower, and then I like went around and started talking to people. excuse me, I started talking to Cole, and we got to know each other. I talked to some people around, and then there was somebody doing spoon healing. Pretty much you like run a spoon like through the parts that hurt, and then it like pulls it. And I would have done that, except for the fact that like I would have been bruised out for work, and I was like, I can go to work bruised up, so I didn't do it. So but then there was this lady Joe who I was walking around the property, and I saw that she had a massage table up, and I was like, oh, what do you have going on here? And she's like, oh, I'm just going to be doing some quick little 10-15 minute massages to kind of release energy. And I was like, oh, can you please let me know when you do it? I would love to get one done, because I had a really bad headache since I hadn't slept or eaten. And she's like, yeah, I'll let you know. So while I'm talking to Cole, she comes over and she's like, hey, whenever you're ready, I'm ready. But like, we were so caught up in conversation that I never ended up going over there. Like, well, I did eventually, but not right away. And a few people went, and so I was like, hey, like, let me know when you're ready. I'm so sorry I got caught up in conversation. Let me know when you're ready. I'll head over. So she ended up grabbing me when she was ready, and she asked me, you know, like, what's going on. And I was like, oh, I have like really bad tension like in my neck and in my shoulders. I just always have like such pain here. And I'm telling her physically what's going on, and she's like, is there something you're not telling me? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, why are you here? And I was like, oh, you mean like emotionally? Yeah, so here's the thing. And I told her, I was like, I had to cut my parents off in January of this year. They just don't get me. They don't understand the trauma that they caused, and like don't want to acknowledge it. And then when they do acknowledge it, they still repeat it. So we're not getting anywhere. And so she's like, okay, so you're like still carrying that. And I was like, yeah, I guess. I had a lip gloss here, but I don't know where to put it. And so I was like, yeah, I guess so. And she was like, okay. And so she pretty much just like had me doing this breath work while she's massaging me. And so she's like working on my back, working on my neck, and then she's like, I want you to breathe in counts of 3, hold it for counts of 3, and let it out for counts of 3. So I'd be like, and it just like slowed down your breathing. And then I would forget, and I'd just like go back to normal. She's like, focus on your breathing. I'm like, okay, I go back, and then I forget, and then she's like, don't forget to breathe. I'm like, oh, okay. And I go back, you know. And then she worked on me, and it was really nice, and like she pretty much took away my headache. I did have like a slight lingering one just because of probably not eating or sleeping, but she really took it away for the most part. And I was like, thank you so much, you're amazing. And then after that, she goes, I really suggest that you go to Noreen and do crystal healing. And I was like, okay, I have no idea what crystal healing is, so probably not. But then after that, they were doing arts and crafts, and so we made vision boards, which did I post it on? I don't think I did. I think I posted it on my story, but man, I want to show it to you guys. Here, let me show it to you guys. Okay, so this is the vision board that I made while I was there, and as you can see, the top left corner says travel the world. I put Greece there because that is the one place that I've always wanted to go, and apparently I had a past life in Greece. I was a male musician. And I put waterfall because I've really just been wanting to be like in the rainforest and stuff. I didn't know how accurate that would be. The only way out is through. And then I did like, you know, the chakras and follow your dreams, creativity, because, you know, creator. When you believe anything is possible, we are all connected. Another one, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you 100%. And then we've got some astrology stuff. And then over here, I've got talent is luck. The important thing in life is courage. Boundaries brave, speak up, abundance blessed, because you know this is very much me. And we pulled oracle cards, and I pulled sacred site, purpose. You guys, wait till you hear what the fuck happened. Purpose. And I got these little stickers around, and what's funny is this card, I gotta I don't know if I can like show you guys what it said, but it pretty much said that there are sacred sites that pull us back and to remind us of our purpose and to remind us of our roots, and that there will be a big thing that is happening to like trust it and follow my calling, and that I'm going to be wanting to like travel more and all this stuff. It's literally 100% factual. So there's my little vision board that I made. Okay, so while I'm sitting there making my vision board, Noreen from the Crystal Healing comes over, and I say, hey, are you the one that does crystal healing? And she said, yes. And I was like, are you still doing it? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I think I want to do it. And she's like, yeah, go lay on the bed. I'll do it for you. Oh shit, I almost slipped. And I was like, okay, great. So, I finish my vision board and I go ahead and lay on the table, and she comes over and again asks me, why are you here? And I said the same thing about my parents. I was like, oh, I've just had to cut my parents off. They don't understand me, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I understand. You know, a lot of us are going through that. A lot of us. Which Joe said that too. A lot of us are going through the same thing. I understand. So she like asked me if I know anything about crystals. I was like, absolutely nothing. And she was like, okay, I got you. And she went ahead and I laid down and she picked whatever crystals she thought that I needed. She put like one in between my legs, like one on my pelvis. I don't know if she put one on my stomach or not, but she put like two next to my ears. She put one on my crown, and I can't remember if I think she put one on my heart, and she put one on my third eye. She's like, I'm gonna put one on your third eye. I was like, okay. And then I just kind of laid there, and she did this like chime thing, and then she's like, just lay there. And I just laid there for a minute, and then you know, she ended up coming over. She's like, how do you feel? And I was like, good, I guess. And she was like, okay. And then she just gave me a hug, and I had told both of them that the medicine didn't work in me. And so I told her, and she was like, just don't think about anything. I said, I think it's just I have these expectations. She's like, let them go. Don't think about the expectations. Let it go. It'll come to you. Don't think about it. And I was like, okay, like how am I supposed to not think about it, you know? So then we go and we kind of now, so normally they would do second ceremony during the day, okay? But Courtney was like, with the stuff that's going on in the world as far as energy wise, I really feel like we need to do a night ceremony. And so we're going to do a night ceremony where we're going to start at 7. And so we were like, fuck, we're going to do a night ceremony. Like last night's didn't until 6 a.m. And then we have a morning ceremony on Sunday. And then like, we're going to have to drive home. Like, how are we going to do this? Well, so at like 7 o'clock rolls around and we're still not doing ceremony. And we're all just like sitting by the fire, like playing music and, you know, talking. And I'm just like, okay, like I'm really hungry. I did eat that day. I ate like this Russian food that they made, but I had no idea what it was, but I ate it because I was hungry. I'm really hungry, I'm really tired, and like I want to get this over with because we still have a morning ceremony to do. So it felt like it took forever. And then we went inside and we kind of just like, we're all just talking, and Courtney's talking and telling us stories. You know, at this point it's like 8:30. And then she's like asking for the shaman, and she's like, where is he? Where is he? Well, he was preparing the medicine, and literally she was like, okay, we're all like, dude, we have to do this now. Like, we're going to be up all night, and then we have to do a morning ceremony. Like, everyone was kind of like getting impatient. And I mean, obviously Courtney was getting impatient too, but like, we can't rush the process, you know, trust the process. So we're like, oh my God. At this point, we didn't start ceremony till like, I want to say almost 10, maybe 11. Like, it was so late. We were like, oh my God, we're going to be up all night and morning again. And so he comes in and people do the rapé. And then this time we had, I don't remember what it's called. It's something with an S. But it's these eye drops that burn your eyeballs off. And it's supposed to help open your third eye. So they put it in your eye. So there's a mild, medium, or hot, pretty much. And they say, you know, you're gonna lay down, you're gonna close your eyes. We're gonna put the eye drops like right on your tear ducts, and then you're gonna open your eyes, and then you're gonna blink, and then it starts like burning and stinging. You're gonna move your feet like like that to like let the energy out, and it'll last a minute, 2 max, and you dab, you don't wipe with the napkin. And so they're like, who wants to do it? And I'm like, I put eye drops in my eye every day and I make it burn on purpose. I'm doing it for sure. But I didn't do the hot one because I was like, oh, okay, let's not get too crazy. And then I had asked, like, does it matter what level you do? And they were like, yeah, it kind of does. And I was like, okay, I'll do medium, because I didn't want to do mild, but I also didn't want to do the hot one. So they come around and I do it, and it really wasn't that bad. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. It felt like, I remember saying, oh, it felt like someone squeezed lemon juice right in my eyeball. Like, that's exactly what it felt like, but it lasted about a minute or two. And like I said, I put eye drops in my eyes every day, so it wasn't a big deal. So I did that, and then I felt the effects of that a little bit. It made me a little like lightheaded, but not really. It's very, very slight. And Courtney says that she does it all the time when she's like in the moment as far as like anger goes and can't calm down. She's like, I just go into my room and I put in the eye drops and it helps me recenter because it's like, calm down, get back to normal, you know? So I did that and I felt a slight, but nothing. Okay. So we start ceremony again. I drink a cup and this time I did get a little more high. I felt the body high again and I saw the wall moving. So I saw the wall breathing and then I kept staring at it. I'm like, is the wall breathing or there's tapestry everywhere? So I was like, and we had opened the barn because we're inside of a barn. We had opened the barn doors like diagonally across from me and then the tapestry was over here. So I was like, is the wall breathing or is it a breeze? Turns out it was a breeze, but I really did see the wall breathing. That's what it felt like. So I saw the wall like breathing. Okay, maybe not, but I will say the tapestry had designs on it and I did see the designs move. I saw there was like little Egyptian people on it and stuff. And so I saw them moving around and I remember one of the girls that was sitting in the middle had said early in the day, like, oh, I did feel the medicine. I remember looking at the tapestry that's next to you and I saw the images moving. So when it started moving for me, I was like, oh my God, this is what happened to that girl. And so I saw the images like kind of moving around. It was like really groovy kind of thing. And I was like hallucinating a little bit. I was like so excited. And then I sobered up and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck? I was so mad. And so I was like, okay. So this point, I'm like, okay, great. What do I do? So they're like playing this music, like da 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 da, doing the thing. And I'm like laying down with my head mask and I'm like jamming out in the bed. I'm like, yeah, like might as well enjoy the music because like the fuck else am I gonna do, you know? So I'm just like jamming out to the music, having a great time. And then there was a couple there that the husband had a really, really rough night one, like horrible, depressing. He like didn't want to be there. And he had talked to me and he was like, it was so rough, like I don't want to do it again kind of thing. And then his wife didn't feel it until after everybody was done with ceremony on Saturday. And she was like sitting all on her own in the morning. And then it hit her and she was like, holy shit. And then she went on a trip for like 3 hours by herself. And then they spent the rest of the day processing together. And it was like with a helper. And it was like really long. And she came up to me and told me like the shaman wants to see him tonight. And I think it was to kind of help him work through things. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, so they're not laying next to each other. So he is laying like, if I'm laying like this, he is laying diagonally behind me over here. He's laying there and she's laying on the other side of the room and there's like a fireplace in the middle, so she can't see him. So during all this, the shaman goes and gets that guy, and like while he's like playing the harmonica and doing his thing, he taps him and the guy is asleep and he like taps him to get him up and the guy goes like he was not gonna do it. And that's his wife had told me like he doesn't want to do it, and he said like, no, I'm not doing it, I'm not gonna go up there kind of thing. If he wants to talk to me, I'm not doing it. He doesn't know me, I don't want to talk to him. And so he's like, you know, he like waves him down, whatever. And so the shaman goes up to the front and calls the helpers. And he's like, I need you to get him. I need him to come up here. So he has like 2 helpers trying to get him up. And I'm like sober as fuck right now. So I'm like sitting up and I'm like watching. And I'm like, come on. Because, you know, I'm friends with his wife. And his wife told me what was going on. That, you know, he was supposed to be called up. And he had a rough night. I'm like, come on, get up, do it for your wife, you know? And I'm sitting here watching it because I'm like, you know, his wife doesn't have eyes over here. She's on the other side. So I want to be able to tell her what happened. And so the 2 helpers go and are like, hey, come on, we need you to get up. And he's like, no, he like refuses. And they're like, come on, this is why you came. No, refuse. They sent more helpers over. He refused. And I'm like, come on, do it. Come on, get up. Like, do it. Please get up for your wife. Like, please do it, you know? And then he finally was like, fine, but I don't want to. And so he like takes his blanket off and he gets up and I'm like, yay! I'm like all on the side. I'm like, oh my God. I literally clapped. I was like, yay! I'm so happy for him. Oh my God, I can't wait to tell her that he got up, because I don't know if she's under the medicine. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait. I'm like, so excited. I'm like watching it, and I was like, I'm like watching it on the sidelines, and I was like, this is like so entertaining to me. This is like a legit show, because I was sober. So I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. I get to watch the shaman work because I wasn't under the medicine. So, by the way, Cole took his 1 cup and like started tripping, and then he ended up sobering up and then took a 2nd cup, but he was under too. So I was like, cool, everybody's getting their opportunity but me. The girl next to me, every time, she literally had 1 cup, snoring. She was out. But I would ask her, I'm like, did you trip? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, when? In your sleep? And she's like, I was sleeping? I was like, yeah. She's like, I guess so. But she was legit like fucking cozied up, like loving life. I'm like, must be nice. Didn't see her throw up once. Not a cry, not a scream, not a mumble. And the girl across from her, or next to her, was mumbling a lot. She was like, you know, she was like talking. And like I said, there are people. The second night was very quiet. So it was like the opposite of night 1. Night 1 was like the craziest screaming and crying and everything. Night 2 was everybody just fell asleep. Everyone just fell asleep. Everybody was so quiet. And I was like, oh, thank God, I might be able to sleep tonight. You know, if it doesn't hit me, I'll be able to sleep. So everyone was really quiet. There was like maybe a couple people throwing up quietly, you know, nothing crazy. Really wasn't bad. So, you know, he pulls the guy up there, and they have him go around the table, and he sits down next to the shaman. And I don't know what the fuck the shaman said to him, but he just started bawling, and he was just like, and you can hear the cries coming out of him. And I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And so he's crying, and they're like, you know, the shaman asked the helpers to bring him a chair, and so he brings the chair over, and he has him sit there, and he does this like sha like, you know, thing, little ritual on him, you know, does his thing around him, and he's just like bawling in the chair, like crying, and I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that you're doing this, you know. And I'm like, at that moment, while I'm seeing all this happen and there's this whole thing going on, I'm thinking, wow, like, you know, even if it doesn't happen for me, I'm so happy that I get to see this. I'm so happy that I get to witness this, because I see that it's working on other people. And maybe my third eye is just too open. You know, what are you gonna do? I'm just too awake. So I'm like, you know, maybe my third eye is just too open, and maybe that's why I haven't seen anything. But you know what? I'm really happy that I came. Like, it sucks, you know, that I spent this money and I drove 2.5 hours here and nothing's happening. But like, this is a really fucking cool experience to get to witness the shaman like work on other people. Like, if these people tell me their testimonies and it like they tell me it works, then like, of course I'm gonna believe it. Even if it didn't work on me, it just wasn't meant to work on me. But I kept saying, and you know, during the trip, I kept saying, before I actually tripped, I said, I know that God did not bring me here for nothing. I know that the ayahuasca didn't fucking chase me down at my job to come here for nothing. I know I'm here for a reason. I don't know what it is yet, but eventually it'll make sense. So when I said it's fine if it doesn't happen and I let it go, the medicine was like, here we go, bitch. So he does this thing on the guy, and he gives him another cup, and he drinks his 2nd cup, and he went back to bed. And I was like, yay, I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. You did it. Like, good job. You know, I was so happy for him. And I kind of just like laid down and sit up, and I'm just watching him, and he's doing his chanting and his, you know, harmonica and da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, you know, watching. And he worked on like another person. He called one of the helpers up. Come up, he goes up, he puts him in the chair too. And it's funny because at this point we're still at 1st cup, you know, nobody has really had 2nd cup yet, but Cole gets up and starts laughing at the guy that got called up, and he's like he just starts laughing, and then the helper flicks him off and starts laughing, and then the whole room starts laughing. And so it was just funny how like that's when it clicked to me, and I go, oh my God, we're literally all one. we are all one collective consciousness, because when one person does something, everyone else does something. But I was never a part of it. Like, I was never laughing when everyone laughed, or screaming when everyone screamed, or crying when everyone's crying. I literally was just laughing. I mean, I was just watching it from the outsider's perspective, and I was like, wow, this is so crazy. Like, we really are all one. Like, everybody's on the same wavelengths. Everybody's doing the same thing. And so that's when it clicked to me that I was like, wow, yeah, we're one collective consciousness. So he does this thing with him, and so he's going, and I decided to bring my watch. No, I don't have like the Apple Watch or anything. It was literally just like one of these, but in a watch. You know, that's the kind of watches I wear, because I wanted to know what time it was, because I knew I wasn't going to have my phone with me to see what time it was. So I had set it, and I usually, when I like get home from work, I pull the little, you know, the twisty thing that you set the time. I pull it because I want to make the battery last as long as possible, and then I reset it every day when I go to work, and then I pull it when I get home. Obviously, I didn't pull it while I was there because I wanted to know the time all the time, but I didn't keep the watch on. I put it above my pillow. And so I would check it constantly and be like, how long have we been doing this? When did we take the medicine? How long has it taken for the medicine to hit? I wanted to know every little thing. And I took the medicine, you know, the first one, like 11, I want to say, and nothing happened. I took cup 2 at 1 a.m. So it was 2 hours of me watching him work on other people and him going around the room. Everybody was very quiet. Nothing was going on. While he's doing this, every time he goes back to his area, I'm like, second cup? Not second cup. Second cup? No, second cup. The entire time, I'm like so ready for second cup. And I was like, are we even gonna do second cup? Should I tell him that the medicine hasn't hit me? Like, what should I do? Because the medicine still hasn't hit me, and I'm like sober as fuck, but I really wanted to work, and it's already night 2, and I don't want to leave without anything happening. Like, what should I do? And so he's going around, and I'm like, second cup? No, not second cup. Second cup? No, not second cup. Second cup? Not second cup. And so I'm like watching this over and over and over, and I'm like, dude, when are we gonna do second cup? I had to learn how to be patient. That's what the medicine was also trying to teach me at that moment. It was like, chill the fuck out. Stop looking at the time. Stop waiting. Like, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. Calm down. And so finally he goes, second cup, and I run up there. Of course, first one. And I go, hey, do you think that I can have 2 cups? Because the medicine still hasn't hit me. And he goes, he looks at me. And by the way, when you do it, you have to look at him straight in the eyes. So the first night, he goes, look at me in my eyes. And I was like, okay. And I like look at him, and I'm like, I was like this. And he goes, so gives it to me. And I'm like, okay. Those the 4 times. I'm like, again, nothing. Okay. Second night, he didn't even look at me in the eyes the first time. And I was so mad. He literally, I came up and I'm like looking at him, like more serious this time. I'm like, and then he's like, he looked like he was already under the medicine, because like, you know, he drinks too, but he needs it to hold the energy and the space. My God, this guy, he really is the magic. And so he's like, I'm like, I walk up there, and then he literally just like goes like, looks at me for like a millisecond, pours it, and he goes, so didn't even look at me. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Look at me in my eyeballs. Like, do your magic. So I was mad because Cole, you know, he knew that Cole was kind of struggling to fill the medicine. And so he did like a special prayer on Cole's ayahuasca, and was like this longer thing. And then Cole fucking went into another planet. By the way, Cole became God. Like, he saw how like we are all God on the inside, and we all need to know our powers. And he went to fucking 7 levels of heaven, ultimate bliss, and he's loving life over here. I'm like, cool for Cole. And then, you know, so I go up there, second cup, and I go, hey, I haven't felt it. Do you think that I can have 2 cups? He's about to pour it, and he goes, and he looks at me, and he looks at the cup. He goes, I'll give you 2 cups, but you can go last. I'm gonna open your third eye. And I didn't hear him the first time, and I was like, I'm sorry? And he goes, I'm gonna open your third eye. And I was like, okay. I was so excited. So I'm like, okay. So I go back to my mat. Everybody gets their second cup, and I wait, and I'm in the corner, and he's like, and so I go up to him, and he goes, close your eyes. So I close my eyes, and then he literally didn't warn me. He like spit this water in my face, and it's called Florida water. I think that's what it was. Because he sells this Florida water, and it's like this, I think it's a Florida spring water with like all these flowers and plants in it. And I don't know if that's the same thing he was passing around. We were like, before he went, he said, thank you for being here. And he was passing this like I don't think it was Florida water at first because it was oil. I don't know what it was. He passed out around this like oily type thing that kind of smelled like lavender, and we would like put it all over ourselves and stuff. I don't know if that's the same thing, but anyway, when you know, I closed my eyes and then he's like, and he spits it on my face, and it's like, it felt like a spray bottle. So he didn't like directly like spit in my face, but it was like, he like blew it in my face, and it was like a spray bottle, and I was like, oh, COVID. No, just kidding. But COVID. So I was just like, there's like a fly in my room and it's bothering me. And so I was just like, oh, okay. And so then he did that, and then he touches my third. First he like held my head, and then he like put his finger over my third eye, and then he did this like Simba like thing, like does all this, and then he's like saying this prayer around me, and he's doing all this thing, and then I think he said like salud to give me the ayahuasca, and I'm still like, and he goes salud like again, and I was, oh, thank you. And so I take it, and then I'm like, okay, and then I go back to my mat, and I'm like, I don't think it's gonna work, bro. But okay, you know, like I'm like, you know, I've taken the cup. I've taken 5 cups at this point, and it's like nothing's working. And you're gonna tell me that this little like spit in my face Simba shit is gonna work now? Okay. So I'm like, all right, whatever. And I literally said, so I could feel, because I didn't throw up. Oh, I did throw up after cup 1. I threw up after cup 1 night 2. That night I went out to the bathroom like right away to pee, and then while I was peeing, because at first it felt like I had to go number 2, you know, when it was like hitting me the first cup, I was like, oh man, fuck, my stomach hurts. And so I was like, let me go to the bathroom. So I went to the porta potties. Ugh. The porta potties were clean though, by the way, except for like by the end of day 3, they weren't like, you know, people were really going in there, but you know, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? What time is it? Oh, okay, we're at 10:30 now. So, whew, an hour and a half. I told you guys it was gonna be long because I'm very detail oriented, and you guys have been waiting very long for this. I hope you put this on like 1.5x speed or something to get through this. So I went out to pee, and I was like peeing, and I was like, oh, my stomach hurts. And then I was peeing, and then I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna throw up. So I like wipe it, I pull my pants up, and I'm like in the porta potty. And I remember the helpers are outside, and I was like, well, I threw up in there instead of in there. And then they like laughed at me, and then I went back in. And anyway, that was first cup. So like before all the shit that I told you guys, I forgot to tell you that. So second cup, I drink it. This is where it gets wild and crazy, people, get ready. So I'm sitting in my mat. I'm wearing this shirt, no bra, because I didn't want the bra to constrict me. You know what I'm saying? Girls, you know what I'm talking about. And I was wearing shorts. I was not wearing pants. Now, the whole weekend I was wearing these sweats and my hoodie and socks on my feet. And because my feet were so fucking cold the entire time because I have bad circulation, and I was wearing my like Good Vibes hoodie, which if you saw the picture, so that's what I was wearing the entire weekend. But by second cup I got really hot, like right before second cup, and I had taken off everything. Like I had taken off the socks, I had taken off the pants, and I had taken off the hoodie, so I just had the t-shirt and the shorts. And I sit down at my mat because I realized that anytime I laid down right away, the medicine didn't really hit me, and I wanted it to hit me. So I said, sit up and let it go down. So I sat up. By the way, first night I threw up after cup 2 and 4, just so you know. So those were the times that I was sitting up. So I was like, let me sit up, and you know, I might throw up. I started feeling it like right away. I was like, oh God, yeah. So I'm sitting crisscross with the bucket in between my legs like this, okay? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna throw up for sure. Not even 10 fucking minutes, and I was gone to another dimension. Like, this motherfucker really opened up my third eye. So right away I started being like, getting like drowsy, and I was like, when I would close my eyes, I would see a lot of colors and shapes. So it's like the typical tripping, right? So I'm starting to see like colors and shapes, and I'm like, okay, cool, you know. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And so I kind of would like lay my head on the trash can, on the side of the trash can like that, or I just kind of lay my head down like that. Now I enter into infinite loops of hell. Yeah, that's right. I got stuck in an infinite loop of hell. Okay, so let me explain to you what hell is. hell. There is no hell. We are creating hell every fucking day. Humanity creates hell every day. So this is what I was seeing. I was inside of a honeycomb. And it was like, okay, so I didn't know about Dante's Inferno until after I started talking about this, and somebody said it sounds like Dante's Inferno. So that's what it looked like. So if you've seen Dante's Inferno, how it starts big and it gets small, that's what this honeycomb looked like, but not that many layers. I think there was like 9 layers on Dante's Inferno. For me, it was more like 6, and they were cylinder like this I was on the inside. I was looking at it from the outside looking in, but I was on the inside of the honeycomb, but outside of the hell drama, if you know what I mean. So I'm from an outsider's perspective watching this. And so it's a honeycomb, a cylinder hollow honeycomb that goes around until it gets really small. And it is the colors of fire, but there is no fire. It is red, orange, and yellow, very vibrant colors. And then I can hear every sound that has ever existed in the entire universe since the beginning of time. And I can see everything that has ever existed in the entire universe since the beginning of time. And you know what? My subconscious was doing? Hey, this really is annoying, right? It sucks, yeah. Remember it, because your followers are going to want to know what you saw. So remember everything you're seeing right now. That's what I was thinking. Even though I'm seeing this horrible fucking shit, the one side of me is like, the content creator side of me is like, you better remember all this. Yeah, it sucks, but remember it, because they're gonna ask, and you gotta tell the people. So I purposely stayed alert and aware of what was happening so I could tell you guys this. So you're welcome, because I put myself through hell for you guys, literally. So what I'm seeing is this honeycomb of hell, and it's hollow and it's vibrant, and oh my god. So the images that I'm seeing is, I see a lot of like, and what I'm hearing is a lot of women and children, and I can just see like places, people, and things, and it is swirling around, swishing like this, like a toilet bowl flushing, and it is just like that, right? And I get very motion sickness, so I'm so dizzy. So in real life, I'm in my bucket violently throwing up. I'm like, bleh! Throwing up, because I'm spinning around in circles in this fucking other dimension. And the sounds that I heard while I was under, and this is exactly why I didn't want my sister to be here so that I could do these sounds for you. I kept thinking, is this happening in the real world right now? Like in the room, are people making these sounds, or am I just hearing it? Now, during this time, the shaman is going around doing his fucking rituals, whatever, his fucking chanting, his shit, and it gets louder and louder every time, because it was an infinite loop. So these are the sounds that I was hearing while I was under. Not only am I hearing the shaman, I'm hearing some people in the room that are like throwing up or crying. Not really a lot going on, but nobody was doing anything before I went under, okay? So I don't think that these sounds were real. I think that's what I was hearing. I was hearing so many women and children, pain, anguish, agony, destruction. It was no joke, over. And I am sure that was very nice to look at my face doing those sounds, but I wanted for you guys to hear that times a fucking million. Those sounds over. It gives me chills, because it got to the point where it was like closing in on me, the destruction and the pain and anguish coming more and more and more. And then he would do his and I could hear it, and it got loud, and it got to the point where one point I went like this, and I covered my ears because it was so loud. I'm like, stop, it's so loud. But then it was in my head. There's nothing I could do about it. So I remember while I was in it, I'm going through this loop and I'm watching it and I'm like getting dizzy, like watching all this while hearing these noises. It started off more mild. It's just by the end of it that it was fucking piercing. And I could hear every sound that ever existed in the universe. And I'm watching and I'm like, I kept being like, oh fuck, I'm so tired. And it's like, I was split in half. I was split in this dimension and my body was here thinking, fuck, I am so tired. Like my physical carnal body kept saying, like, I'm so tired. And so while I was under, I remember thinking like, okay, is this ever gonna end? I'm stuck. And I was so aware. I was so aware that I was stuck in this infinite loop of hell. And I'm like, dude, is this ever gonna end? I'm like stuck in this infinite loop. Like, this is not what I wanted. And my higher dimensional self would pull me out of it. And so I would open my eyes and I would see like the room that I was in and I'd be like, and I'd start like, throwing up, but I'd be like, okay, I'm here. Or it would be like, my higher self would tell me like, yes, it'll end. Remember where you are. And I would see myself like asleep in the bucket. And it would say, this is why you had to wait. You had to wait to see everybody else's experience first so that you wouldn't freak out when you see this, so that you could be calm and remember where you are and that you're just in another dimension experiencing this. And I was like, okay. And I would say, okay, I'm just so tired. And then it would put me back into it. And then the loop would start again. So what happens is I would go through this whole loop. I would watch the destruction of humanity. That's what I was watching over and over. I would watch the destruction of humanity going and going. And I'm like, bleh, bleh, throwing up. And I'm watching the destruction of humanity go. I would get to the bottom of the loop. And I would fall like dead weight into my bucket. I'd be like that. And it would just end. And I was done with the loop. And then my higher self would be like, ew, you're in the vomit bucket. And I'd be like, oh, you're right. Because my head would just fall in it. I mean, obviously I didn't touch the vomit because it's like at the bottom, but I'm stuck in it like this. And it's like, ew, you're in the vomit bucket. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. And then I take a deep breath because I felt like I couldn't really breathe well. And so I'd go, and then I'd go into the loop again. And I'd be like, oh, here we go again. And then it would start again and the loop would go again. And then I'd watch more destruction and more. And I'd hear more crying, more pain, more suffering. It kept going. And then I would go, I'm so tired. This is exhausting. Is this going to end? And then it would, again, my higher self would pull me out. Show me where I was. Tell me where I was. Stay calm. Okay, I'm calm. I'm just tired. I just want to go to sleep. Can this end already? Why am I getting stuck in this infinite loop of hell? I went through this infinite loop like 6 times that felt infinite. Obviously, it didn't last forever, but it felt like infinite loops of hell because it was never ending in the moment. And I went through this boom, over again, boom, over again, boom, 6 times. I swear it was 6 or 7 times that I went through this loop. And while I was in it, not only did I ask like, dude, I'm so tired. I just want to sleep, like my physical self. My astral self that was under the medicine said, does this ever end? Does the pain and suffering ever end? Is this ever gonna end? I remember just seeing that like, dude, how many more times are you people gonna do this? I'm tired for you. How many times do I have to watch you guys destroy yourself? Jesus fucking Christ. I just kept going and I was just so tired. I'm like, oh my God. And then my mouth, oh my God, I got so thirsty. I remember being in it and then like he stopped his chanting and it got quiet. And so I knew that I feel like he was really working on me. And yes, he was working on everyone, but I feel like he was working on me. He was like, oh bitch, I opened your third eye and we're going to pull it out. We're going to pull out whatever you need to see. And so he did this chanting that pulled out what I needed to see. Now, while I was under, Cole said that there was only one person that let out a loud scream and he went outside, or they took him outside. That was it. It was pretty much all quiet. There was like just people kind of crying and stuff like that, but nothing crazy. This fucking fly is driving me crazy. And so then, and that was it, right? So he does his chanting, he finishes his chanting. When he finishes his chanting, and it was when I finally left the loop of hell. So I think he was chanting maybe an hour. So I was maybe stuck in this infinite loop that felt like forever, for like maybe an hour. And he stops his chanting, and I was like, oh, finally. So I get the bucket, and I have filled up about, it's like a dollar store bucket like this, I would say. I filled up about this much of vomit. Like, not completely halfway, but almost halfway of vomit. And it's just liquid, because I haven't really eaten, right? So I'm like, oh, finally. I put the bucket down, and I lay down. Okay, so I lay down, and I'm like, you know, I'm so thirsty. And I had brought my trusty Yeti that I take with me everywhere. So, because I'm always drinking water, I brought my Yeti with me. But I didn't have the physical energy to reach and get the Yeti. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so, I like inside, I'm like, I'm so thirsty. My mouth is so dry. It was so dry because I had just thrown up so much. I had thrown up so much, and I had been, you know, stuck in this infinite loop of hell. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so thirsty. I'm so thirsty. And it's like, I physically could not move to get the water behind me. I could not move. And so I'm like, oh. But I could move to raise my hand, because I go, everybody's quiet, right? Like 100%, everybody's just, and I go, and in my head, this is what I'm processing. Dude, I'm so thirsty. I can't move. I need water. I need water right now. What am I gonna do? Fuck it, call it out. So I said, can someone bring me water, please? I'm so thirsty. And I'm like so alert of what is going on around me while I'm still in another dimension. I'm stuck between the two dimensions. And I'm like, I'm so thirsty. I remember that's exactly how I said it. And they go, water, water, she needs water. And so it was like, you know, the like paramedics type of thing. They're like, water, water, she needs water. And so they start like bringing me water, and the helpers start coming to me. And I remember, like, so that's when I went back into my body. So I left that other dimension. I'm physically, again, back in my body. But, like, now I'm, like, physically here because I can feel the thirst. I can feel my body. But I'm also, like, in another dimension at the same time. And so I'm, like, they go, water, water, she needs water. And so they start coming over. And I have my eyes closed the entire time. Cannot open my eyes to save my life, okay? And at this point, I had the sleep mask around my neck, because, you know, I had been throwing up and I didn't want to get the vomit on here. So I just had it against my neck, and I'm like, I need water. And so they start coming over, and I'm so vocal, and like, nobody was vocal like this at all. I was the only one that was this vocal the entire trip. Everybody was internally processing. I was very external, very vocal. And I think that, like, watching people's process of them just not caring about like crying out loud or vomiting out loud or yelling out loud, like loud screams, made me more comfortable to let go. I was like, you know what, fuck it, like, this is what we're here for. And they literally said, if you die, die. If you die. Let it all out. Whatever you need to do, let it out, because you're not really gonna die, just let it out, right? So I'm like, okay. Oh, my nose is killing me. So, and this fucking fly is driving me crazy. So I'm like, okay, fine. Like, I'm gonna not care, right? So I'm like, oh, I ask for water, and they're like, okay, she needs water. And so they start like getting me water, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so thirsty. I'm saying everything I'm thinking out loud. And I'm like, oh, I'm so thirsty. I'm so thirsty. And they're like, we're bringing you water. We're bringing you water. And I'm like, thank you. And so they start coming over with the water, and they're like, here you go, baby. Here, we got the water. We got the water. And I'm like, thank you. And so I'm laying down, and they're like, we need you to sit up. And so I'm like, oh my God, I can't. Oh my God, I have to pee. Oh, I was like saying everything out loud that was happening, and I was like, oh, I have to pee. And so they're like, okay, sit up. And so they like pull me up, and I'm like, oh, thank you. And they're like, okay, here's your water. And I'm like, thank you. And before I can turn, I go, oh, and I fall back down, and I go, oh, I'm so tired. And I fall back down. Okay. And they're like, we need you to get up. We need you to get up. And I'm like, oh. And then all of a sudden, I go, oh, it hurts. And I start fucking having legit an exorcism. And I'm like laying down. There's not going to be a pretty view, guys, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm laying down. Let me move Mother Earth over here. Calm down. Okay. So I'm laying down, and I'm like, oh, sorry, I have a hair. I'm like, oh, it hurts. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, and I start like going like this, like moving my body parts. And I'm like, oh, it hurts. Ow, ow, ow. And I start going like that. Like, so what's happening is while I'm under, I am seeing other body parts leave my body. And so while I'm like, ow, it hurts. Ow, ow. And I'm like this, and I like can see like limbs leaving my body, and I just see a whole bunch of fucking people leaving my body, and I'm like, ow, and I'm literally like my neck hurts right now really bad, so it kind of hurts to do this, but I'm like flailing around, and I'm like, ow, 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 ow. I'm like every direction, okay? They're pulling me from every direction. And what happened was the girl next to me is like, you know, obviously probably awake at this time, but I remember I went like this. I'm like, bah, and I start hitting her, and I go, I'm so sorry. I know that I'm hitting you. I can't stop it. I don't know what's happening. I can't control my body. And my eyes are closed this whole time, okay? So it's like, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry. Ow, it hurts. It hurts. Oh. And so they're like, it's okay. It's okay. You know, they're trying to calm me down. All of a sudden, after I'm saying like, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, I start choking. And so I'm like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And I'm like dying, legit dying. I'm like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Oh my God, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I'm literally saying I can't breathe while I feel like they're legit, these, I didn't see them, but these souls were fucking suffocating me that were coming out of my body. And so I feel like hands, and I feel like shit, like my neck. And I was like, I'm like this with my eyes closed, and they're like, it's okay, calm down. And I was like, and I'm grabbing the air. I'm grabbing the air for air. Okay. I'm like, I need air. And I'm like telling them, I'm hitting them, and they're like, it's okay, like trying to calm me down. And I literally yelled, God, I need air. And then Joe, who gave me the massage, was like, hey, and she's like next to me, you can breathe. You have lungs. And I go, I have lungs, thank you. And I like lay back down, and they go, we gotta get her outside. So they, at this point, like when they're trying to calm me down from the outsider's perspective, because you guys know that I was waiting so long to get outsider's perspective, they told me that there was 2 people working on me, trying to calm me down. While I'm under, I feel that there's about 7 people working on me. I feel a lot of people trying to get me to breathe again. I feel all these hands on me trying to get me to breathe again, like trying to calm me down. But in reality, there's only 2 people, okay? I'm going on 11 o'clock, and I'm only at the beginning of night 1, my God. So I'm like, okay, so then I hear them. It's like being in a coma. Like I'm so aware of what they are saying. I can hear their voices clearly, but I can't open my eyes or see anything. Now, when I was choking, I was like, I can't breathe. They're like, take that off of her. And it was the head mask, you know, the sleep mask. So they took that off of me because I felt like I was choking. And so they took that off of me, and then they go, we got to get her outside. We got to lift her up. And I was like dead. I was like legit could not move a fucking muscle. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. And so they start like getting me, you know, they start like kind of picking me up and stuff, and they call somebody over to come help. They have like a few guys carrying me, and they start picking me up, and they're like, you know, trying to pick me up. And I was more than dead weight, because of course I just fucking had an exorcism, and I'm carrying all these people inside me. So I'm like, they pick me up, and I can feel how heavy I am. I felt like I was being pulled to the ground. And so as I'm like legit dead weight, and they're carrying me through the room while everybody just watched me have the whole exorcism and almost die of choking. And they're carrying me through the room, and I go, I'm so sorry, I'm so heavy, I feel like dead weight, I'm so sorry. And I kept apologizing. And so they're taking me out, and now I don't have my eyes open at all for anything, but I can see everything through my third eye. So I can tell you everything that happened because I saw it through my third eye. So they take me outside, and the minute I hit the like fresh air outside, I felt that my boobs were out because I didn't have a bra on, and because they're like struggling to carry me, I felt that my shirt got lifted. And I remember, and I said, excuse me, can somebody cover me up? I feel like my boobs are out. And I was like talking so alert while being so under. And so then they're carrying me, and my hair is in my face. And I was like, guys, I need the hair out of my face. And they're like, we're almost there. And I was like, I need the hair out of my face. I need the hair out of my face. Because for me, it's like, I just suffocated and I have hair in my face now. Get it on my face. So it's like, I need the air out of my face, the hair out of my face. And they're like, okay, like, just give us a minute. And then they're carrying me, and like somebody was like digging their fingers or nails into my thighs, and I was like, ow, ow. And so I was able to move my leg, and then they set me on the grass. They're like, you need to be on the grass, you need to get grounded. So they lay me down with this t-shirt and shorts on fucking freezing cold grass. It felt like it was like 40 degrees out, and it was wet, freezing cold. And they lay me down and they go, you need to be grounded. And I was like, oh my god, this is freezing. Oh my god, I'm so cold, I'm so cold, I'm so cold. Oh my god, I'm so cold. No, I don't want to be on the grass. And like, you have to be on the grass, you have to get grounded. Now this is when Emily came over, because she was one of the helpers that was outside. So she came over to help the guys and to help ground me. And now after talking to Emily, I found out that like most people, like, they're trained to just be near you. They're trained to just be next to you while you process silently. Do you think I processed silently? Not one fucking minute. I did not. No, I didn't. So no, I did not process silently. And I was very vocal, and I was very loud. And I didn't know that I was supposed to be quiet, which, like, they didn't tell me that I was supposed to be quiet. And I mean, there were times where like, hey, there's people processing, like, you got to keep it down kind of thing. But like, I thought, I'm outside, I can be as loud as I want. You know what I mean? Like, I thought the people outside were all just sober or helpers, and like, it wasn't a big deal. Like, I could be loud. But I could not shut up the entire fucking time. I couldn't shut up. I could not shut the fuck up. And I think, and I'll tell you guys like the whole thing after of why I went through everything. So I'm freaking out, and I'm like, I'm so cold. I'm so cold. Oh my God, I'm freezing. My feet felt like frostbite. My toes felt like they were going to fall off. And I remember being like, I'm so cold. I'm so cold. And the grass is so cold. And they were like, okay, but we need to ground you. I'm like, can I at least get some blankets, please? I'm freezing. And so they're like, yeah, we're getting you blankets. We're getting you blankets. And so they start bringing me blankets, and it was like, not warming me up. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so cold. Can I please not lay on the grass? The grass is so cold. And they're like, okay, but we need you to be on the grass because you need to get grounded again. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm so cold. I'm so cold. And I started like kicking my legs like we did at the beginning for like the eye drops, because I was like, I need circulation. I need circulation. God, give me circulation. And I'm like yelling. Okay. And I'm like, God, come on. I'm tired of my feet always being so fucking cold. Please. So sorry, guys. And I'm like under this whole time. I'm so sorry, guys. But like, it is really annoying. I'm always have really cold feet. I just have really bad circulation. It's really frustrating. Oh my God. And so then we're like, hey, we need you to breathe. And because I also felt like, I can't breathe, like it was still coming back. It was like in these phases of like being centered and being not. And I was like, oh, I can't breathe. It hurts. Everything hurts. And they're like, okay, we need you to focus on your breathing. Breathe. And I was like, can you tell me how to breathe, please? And so they'd be like, okay, breathe in, breathe out. And they were trying to get me centered again. And I'm like, okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I kept telling them like, thank you. I kept saying thank you for everything. And then I was like, I'm so cold. And so they started bringing me blankets, but it still was not enough. And it got to the point where I finally was like, you guys, I have sweats on my mat. Can you guys bring it to me? It's at the feet of my mat. It's like a black sweats and a black hoodie. And they were like, yeah, we'll get it. And so they went inside and they got it. And, you know, during this, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so cold. And I was like, I need like a sleeping bag. Can I get something so that I don't lay on this floor, please? They're like, we're working on it. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm so thirsty. Can someone give me water, please? I have no mobility over my body, and I can't open my eyes. My eyes are just shut, but I could see things through my third eye. And so they were like, yeah, we got you water. And I'm like, can you help me? And so Emily had to like literally give me the water. I'm like, well, thank you. Because I couldn't move. I had no control over my whole body. And so I'm like, okay. And then they'd be like, hey, we need you to get up. We need you to use your legs. And I'm like, I can't use my legs. And they were like, yes, you can. You can use your legs. Think about your legs. Focus on your legs and use them. And I'm like, okay, give me a minute. Hold on. I was so out of it and I couldn't control my body. And so they were like, hey, we really need you, because I was being so vocal. They wanted to move me away from everyone so that I could process out loud but alone, because I was right in the middle of people that were processing outside quietly. And so they were like, hey, we need to move you. We got you a sleeping bag. Do you see it? And I was like, and that's when I was like, I opened like one eye like this, and I was like, the red one? And she's like, yeah, can you crawl there? And I was like, no. And then she's like, yes, you can, like, use your legs. And I was like, I can't. I'm so tired. I just want to sleep, but I'm so cold. And then she's like, okay, well, I need you to focus. Focus on your legs. Get up. And so I literally said out loud, I'm like, God, give me strength, please. Give me strength to get up. And literally within 2 seconds, my whole body started hurting. I was like, ow, ow, ow. And so I literally shot up and I said, okay, well, he got me up. Where are we going? And so they moved me over. Now, I had asked for my sweats and they were like, we've got your sweats. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And so I was like, put my hands up. They're like, no, we're going to put your pants on first. And I was like, okay. So they put my pants on and then they go, okay, we're going to put your hoodie on. So I raise my arms. And then they're like, we're going to do your head first. I'm like, okay. So they put the hoodie and then they put it on backwards. And so I'm suffocating again. I'm like, ah! And then, oh, sorry. So they flip it over. And then I'm like, I put my hands up. And then in my body, I'm like this. Okay? And then it took them like 15 times to put on the hoodie. It literally took them so many times. And I was like, I literally said, guys, it's a fucking sweater. How hard is it to put on a sweater? You probably have one on right now. You wear it every day. Jesus Christ, it's not that hard. I literally lost it like that. And then they get it on me and I started cracking up. I was like, I'm so sorry, guys. It's just like, how many people does it take to put on a sweater? It's really not that difficult. But thank you. And the next day I asked Emily and I was like, was I moving around? She's like, you wouldn't sit still. We couldn't get the sweater on you, because I was like, guys, come on, it's a sweater. How hard is it to put on a sweater? And they're like, well, it's kind of hard when you're dealing with a fucking baby who can't function. So in my head, I'm like perfect. And in real life, I'm a fucking jello. And so, but like at first, I remember before I started laughing. So this is what also, I got some perspectives from the outside. So what happened was, after I left, when they carried me out, some people saw, like when I started having like my little exorcism part, Cole said he saw colors and shapes above me. And like some people saw like when I started screaming, it hurts. A lot of people in the room started feeling my pain and they started feeling that. And then some people said they like saw like souls leaving my body. And then Cole said that when I left, the energy was very dark because of what had just happened, and that people were like, oh, like in pain because they felt my energy. And then he said when they took me outside, like that's when I was still like, oh, it hurts, oh, everything hurts, and like I can't breathe, and I was like just really uncomfortable in my own body. And then when Cole said that inside, as I'm outside, like doing this process, inside, one person starts laughing. And so they're like, yeah, let's laugh. Everybody keep laughing. We need that positive energy. And so the whole room started laughing. Outside, I'm like, oh, going through this so bad. And then I'm guessing it was the same time that they started laughing. I was like, oh my God, oh, this is like, I was complaining. And all of a sudden, when I guess the energy shifted to laughter, I started breaking out laughing. And I was like, I'm so sorry, guys. You guys are probably laughing at me right now. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. And they were like, no, we've all been there. Don't worry. I'm like, I'm sorry. And so it lightened the mood. So it's crazy. Like I then was a part of the collective because I've transferred my energy onto them. And so now they're transferring it back onto me to like laugh, right? So I end up getting, I move over to the sleeping bag. And I'm at the sleeping bag and, I'm like, I need more socks. Please cover my feet. I need more blankets. I had like 10 blankets on me and I still wasn't warm. I was freezing, and I still can't use my body. So it literally felt like I did die when I suffocated, and my body was really cold, like I was dead. And then I was like, like if I had just been born, like I couldn't use my body. So I was like a baby. Like they were feeding me the water, they were like moving me around, they were helping me move. Like there was one point where I was like propped up on my elbow talking to Emily, and I was like, Emily, can you move my elbow that way, please? And so she had to like move it, because I physically could not use my body. I had to ask for help for everything. I was like, and then it was like, I was very talkative, right? So she moved me over under a tree, and I remember laying under the tree, and I you know, I'm starting getting my vision back at this point. And I look and I see a chandelier, and I see these little like decorations in the tree, and I was like talking, and I was like, is there a chandelier over me, or am I seeing things? And she goes, no, there's a chandelier. I was like, wow, it's very pretty. She's like, it is. And so I'm talking, and then she's like, I'm like, oh my God, da, 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 da. I have a million conversations going on in my head, and I'm like, what's your name? And she was like, Emily. And I'm like, oh, Emily. And I was like, what do you do, Emily? She's like, I do Cambo. I'm like, what's Cambo? And so she's telling me about Cambo, and it's this frog poison that they put on your skin, and it helps you heal. And so I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then she's like, hey, I'm out here helping everybody, so I'm gonna step away for a minute. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to take up your time, Emily. Oh my God, you're amazing. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. And while I was under before, I literally quoted Jim Carrey, and I thought about this the other day, because I go, oh my God, thank you so, you guys are freaking amazing. You know what? You're amazing. If nobody's told you, you're amazing. And I think because there was like a scene in one of Jim Carrey's movies where he's like, if nobody's told you, you're amazing, and no, that was the Truman Show. He says, have a good morning, good afternoon, good night. But when he goes, if nobody's told you, you're amazing, something like that. I remember I just saw like a clip when I did the Jim Carrey one. So I remember being like, just in case nobody's told you, you're amazing. I love you guys. You guys are all amazing. And they're like, we love you too, you know? And I'm like, and so Emily's like, hey, I have to help other people. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Emily. I'm so sorry. You're amazing. I apologize for taking up your time. She's like, no, don't apologize. I was like, okay. And so I'm kind of like, now I'm kind of by myself, and I'm trying to like get comfortable, and you know, I couldn't figure out the blankets. Okay. So I'm like twisting the blankets, and I'm trying to get the blankets, and I'm trying, and there's nothing happening. It's just me creating this issue, right? So creating it, and I'm like, oh my God. And I literally said, you know how earlier I had said, Alex, it's not that serious. Calm down. And I started laughing. I literally was like, get it together, Alex. They're fucking blankets. Chill. And I freaked out on myself, like I had just freaked out on them about the fucking sweater, and they started laughing at me. And I was like, sorry guys, it's my karma for freaking out on you earlier. It came out real fucking quick to bite me in the ass. But I'm like, but I'm very drugged up right now. And so, you know, I'm trying to get comfortable, whatever. And then I don't remember how, like, I guess I called Emily over again, and she came over, and she really just sat with me the whole time. And she really had to help other people, but like I didn't know that people were processing silently, and I really wanted to be vocal. I wanted to talk things out. I'm such a talker. In case you couldn't tell, we're on like what, 2 hours now of this video. I wanted to talk things out, and so I was like talking, and every time I would talk, and I would be like, Emily, oh my God, I have a manager named Emily. Oh my God, let me tell you. Okay, so where are you from? LA. Oh, cool. So I'm in San Diego, and I work at a resort in San Diego. So I have to, oh my God, do you know what happened last year? And then I would go into another thing. And I was like, what? Oh no, hold on. And then I would just have, it was like my brain was on a fucking ADHD going a million fucking miles a minute. I started this Emily story about my manager 3 times and never finished it. I started the story telling her about how I asked her projected on shrooms last year 3 times, and I never finished it. She's still probably waiting for the end, but probably doesn't care about it. But I kept like having so many conversations, and anytime a person would walk by, I go, what's their name? And then if it was a helper, she'd be like, oh, that's, you know, Joe, or that's Tony, or whatever. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And then anytime somebody would walk by, I would want to know their name and their birthday. Well, what's their name? What's their birthday? And so I asked him, Emily, are you a Cancer? She's like, I'm a Capricorn. I was like, oh, okay. So last year, so I turned 35 this year, and I'm like having these conversations, and she goes, I cannot believe you're 35. I thought you were like 18. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. And so I'm having these conversations, and people would be walking by, and I wanted to talk to them too. And then Joe came over. Oh, first of all, I was like, can someone, who's the one that does massages? And they were like, Sarah? And I was like, can someone tell Sarah she has healing hands? Okay, she took my headache away. She's amazing. And they're all like, okay, well, we'll let Sarah know. I'm like, okay, thank you. And then I see Sarah, which was really Joe, walk by, and I was like, Sarah. And she goes, no, it's Joe. And I was like, Joe. Why did you guys tell me her name was Sarah? No, this is Joe. They're like, oh, Sarah was the other one, the one that was doing the spoon. And I was like, oh, Joe, you are amazing. You have healing hands. I just want to tell you, you were so gifted. You were so blessed. You took my headache away. And she was like, thank you. Shh. She's like trying to calm me down. And she was like, shh. And I was like, are your eyes open? Because I'm seeing her with her eyes closed like this. I look, are your eyes open? She's like, yes. I was like, really? Are you looking at me? She was like, yes, I'm looking right at you. I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. You literally look blind right now. Like, I can't see your eyes. And she was like, okay, shh, lay down. And I was like propped up. And I was like, here? And she was like, yes, here. And I was like, okay, give me a minute. Hold on. I like had to get comfortable again, right? So I lay down and she goes, and I was like, oh my God, no, Joe, I just want to tell you. She's like, shh. They're like trying to shut me up and I can't shut up. I just keep talking. And then she goes, and I was like, okay. And she was, focus on your breathing. And I was like, can you tell me how to breathe again? And so she has to tell me like, okay, breathe the 3 in, hold for 3, 3 out. And then she goes, I'm like, okay, but listen, and I keep wanting to talk. I can't shut up. And so they're like, she's like, look up, look at the trees. I'm like, okay. And then she goes, look through the trees. And as she's saying, look through the trees, I was like, how does she know I can see through the trees? Like, I can see the skies. I can see the stars. I can see the galaxies, you know, like that's what I'm seeing. And I was like, wow, Joe, you're amazing. And she was like, shh. You know, she's trying to like recenter me. And I'm so all over the place. And so she's like, does this thing, and she like, you know, does this little meditation thing with me. And I'm like, I love you. Thank you so much. Can I hug you? And she goes, tomorrow, because part of the ceremony is no physical touch. You're not supposed to touch people. Obviously they had to touch me to take me outside and they were helping me, but you're not supposed to touch people. And she goes, tomorrow. And I was like, oh my God, yes, I want to hug you. You're amazing. I love you. She's like, I love you too, you know. And when I was talking to her, I like forgot about Emily and I was like, oh, Emily, you're still there. Okay. And so then she ends up like, Joe ends up leaving. I was like, thank you, Joe. Joe, can you tell Noreen? Thank you for telling me to go to Noreen, the crystal healer. Thank you so much. Can you also tell her that she's amazing and she also has healing hands? And she was like, yes. I'm like, okay, thank you. Love you. And so during this process, I'm sitting here talking to Emily and I'm like, why do you think that I had to suffer? You know, Emily, let me tell you exactly what happened. So I told her my trip, right? And then I'm like, Emily, why do you think that I had to suffer through suffocation? And she was like, I don't know, maybe you died that way in a past life. And I was like, oh, you know what? And I remember she was like I'm like this, getting water because I'm getting my mobility back. And Emily is laying over here. And I was like, you know what? I think I did. Honestly, I think that I might have died with a bag over my head because I'm always so scared of dying with a bag over my head and suffocation, as if I couldn't pop a hole through the bag and breathe or like bite. But I don't know, maybe I died with my hands tied behind my back. I think that's what happened. And then, you know, I would like get back in position and I think that's what happened. Honestly, Emily, I think I died in a past life by suffocation. And then it's like the whole time I was trying to catch my breath. I was like taking a really deep breath like this. And I go, oh, you know what is weird? Throughout my whole, I just saw 333 on the camera. Throughout the whole, like my whole life, like throughout my life, I've woken up out of my sleep, like out of breath. So I remember like when I lived at home with my parents or when I lived by myself, I would just like get up and be like, oh my God, like I could have just died and no one would know. Like I would just die in my sleep out of suffocation. And like my dad has sleep apnea. So I'm like, do I have sleep apnea? But I don't think that I do. It's just sometimes I just choke. I choke a lot in my sleep and I run out of breath. And so I'm like, I remember when I was younger once when I was living at home and I literally like in my sleep choked. And I remember I like asked God for air. I'm like, God, give me air. And I like got up in my bed and I was like, and I went like this, like, oh my God, I could have died and like no one would know and my parents would find me dead in my sleep in my bed. Oh my God. I don't know. And so she goes, oh my God, maybe like that's part of it. Maybe you had a little bit of trauma from that. And I was like, yeah, that's so weird. I guess I must have died that way in a past life. Oh, you know what else is weird? And I started telling her, you know what else is weird? You know, my sister, she almost died when she was 1 of suffocation. You know, my mom, we were at a house in Puerto Rico and there was no electricity and no car and no phone because we had just moved in there, and my dad was at work and my sister was a baby and my mom was holding her. And so I was 3 if my sister was 1, and my mom was holding her, and my sister just randomly stopped breathing, and my mom had no way to communicate with my dad and no way to call 911 or to go to the hospital. And so when my dad was at the base, he was at baseball practice after work, and all of the lights turned off at the stadium, at the park, and about 30 minutes passed by, and so he told his coach, like, hey, I gotta go, like, I gotta go be with my wife and kids, like, the power's not coming back on. And so the guy was like, yeah, no problem. And literally God made that happen, because when my dad ended up getting home, my mom was in a puddle of tears with my sister, and my sister passed out of lack of oxygen, and they rushed her to the hospital, and she had to be in the hospital because she had lost all this oxygen. And she was like, and she just stares at me, and I go, I know, we're all one. I know that's what I know. I read your mind. We're all one. But let me tell you why I said we're all one. I think I skipped a step. What I realized was, oh my God, Emily, I was born with my umbilical cord around my neck. I was born with no oxygen. My mom said that she didn't even have to push me out, and I just slipped out and I was blue, and they had to pull me away to revive me. And the doctors had told my mom that because I had lost so much oxygen to my brain that I was going to be mentally disabled. And she goes, there you go. That's where your trauma started since you were a baby. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't even know that was trauma. And she was like, your body knew. She was like, it's not that you knew because you had no idea you were a baby, but your body remembered. What do they say? The body keeps score, right? Isn't that like a book? The body keeps score. So she was like, your body knew, your body remembered, and it kept like triggering that in throughout your life, the fear of dying of suffocation. And even though I don't have a fear of dying, I always thought dying by suffocation would be the worst way to die. And so I guess my body was scared of that because I died when I was a baby. I literally died when I was a baby by having the umbilical cord around my neck by suffocation, and doctors had to revive me. So I said, oh my God. And she's like, there you go. Your trauma started at birth. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. That is so crazy. And then my sister almost died at 1. Oh my God. My parents also almost died when they were kids by drowning. Both of them in separate points of their lives almost drowned in water. My mom almost drowned when she was 4 in water, and I saw the vision when I was on shrooms. Mom, if you're watching this, guess what? I was on mushrooms when I told you the vision. She was in water, in a body of water in like the river, and she started drowning, and a man came and saved her life. And I hadn't even heard that story, and I saw it in my vision while I was on shrooms, and I told her after, and she confirmed it. My dad, when he was like 7 to 9, almost drowned again in a body of water in like a river or something, because we're from Puerto Rico, and a dog saved him. So my dad like is obsessed with dogs because a dog saved his life. So imagine my surprise when I'm like, so my mom, my dad, my sister, and I all almost at one point died of suffocation. So I was like, wow, we really are all one. So I am going through this trauma, trying to break the generational curses that this family keeps going through, and we're really all one. Now, I'm putting these pieces together, and you know, the more I talk out loud, the more clicks. And so Emily was very supportive of being there for me, figuring out the process. So now I'm gonna be self-conscious about talking and anything if I go back, because I feel bad. I didn't know that people process internally, but they say it's okay. It's just how my body wanted to process. Now, I'm talking to Emily, and you know, we're talking about all this stuff, and I wanted to tell her my story of my shroom trip, which I wanted to tell her this stuff, right, that I'm telling you guys of that I saw on my shroom trip. And as I'm sitting here talking to her, you know, while I'm talking to her, she's communicating with me, or I'm communicating with her telepathically without even knowing I'm doing it. So I'm talking to her and she interrupted me. She goes, hey, I know that your cheeks are cold. And I was like, how did you know that? And it's like, I would feel that my cheeks were cold, but I wouldn't say anything. And she's like, I can feel your energy. She's like, put on your hoodie and cover up your cheeks. And I was like, thank you. And then I'd be like, yeah, so, and I have the jacket on and I have the blankets on me, and I'm like sitting here talking to her, and then my arms would get really cold and she would start covering me up with blankets. And I was like, how did you know I was cold? And she was like, I'm psychic, girl, I can feel you. And I was like, Emily, you're freaking awesome. Like, I love you. I was like, I'm definitely gonna see you in LA. She's like, yeah, come. My sister does Reiki. I'm like, oh my God, yes. She's like, you know, I used to be 330 pounds. I was like, oh my God, how did you lose it? She's like, plant medicine. I didn't work out a day in my life. Plant medicine helped me lose. And I was like, oh, I want to lose weight. I'm like at the heaviest I've been ever. And she was like, it's trauma. She was like, your body stores fat to protect your organs because your organs think it's going to break down because of the trauma that you're holding on to. So the fat will protect you, and it when you eat or whatever, it stores fat to protect you in a physical way because of the emotional trauma. And I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. And so so she told me that, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to go see you. And so, you know, we're talking and everything, and she's communicating with me telepathically, and I'm like, you're fucking amazing. So at one point, she's like, I gotta go check on other people. I'm like, okay. She leaves to check on other people because I'm getting more like into, you know, I'm calming down a little, you know, I'm not like super crazy. And she leaves, and I see one of the helpers come out, and he's going through a tough time throwing up a lot. And so I'm watching him, and I'm like, it's okay. Oh, I can feel like your back hurts, huh? Don't worry. And I'm just saying this to myself, right, while I'm watching him. And I'm like, don't worry, you got this. Just breathe. I know, I just went through this. I literally just went through this. I know, I understand. No, but just breathe. It's okay. It's okay. Shh. You know, and I'm doing this by myself over here, watching him, giving him my energy. And as I'm watching him, all of a sudden, one of the other helpers, who's obviously not really under, comes over and stands right in my point of view, right in my way. And I was like, ugh. And in my head, I go, excuse me, can you please move? You're blocking my way. And he literally just steps to the side, doesn't go anywhere. Okay. He literally, I was staring at him, and then I go, excuse me, can you please move? And it's like he goes, oh, sorry. And then he moved to the side and just stayed there. And I was like, and I started laughing, and I go, what's your name? And then I hear Joe or John. And I was like, oh. And then the guy turns around and looks at me, and I wave him over. And he comes over, and I was like, what's your name? And he was like, Tony. And I was like, oh my God, Tony, listen to what just happened. And so I tell him, I telepathically asked you to move out of my way, and you moved out of my way. And he starts laughing. He goes, we're all one. And I was like, oh, but you know what's weird? When I asked you your name, I heard something with a J. Joe, John. And he goes, well, and I think he's Filipino, he's Asian, and I guess he had to like pick a more American name. And he goes, well, before I picked Tony, I had picked John. And I was like, oh my God, how crazy. And so I was like, thank you so much, Tony, you're amazing. And he was like, I got it. And so then I remember, you know, Emily ended up coming back, and I told her, I feel so bad. And she was like, why? I'm like, I really want to apologize to everyone. I feel so bad. I was so loud, and I interrupted so many people's process. And she goes, it's okay. And I'm like, no, I have to say so. I literally want to apologize to everyone. I feel horrible. I kept feeling so bad. Like I wanted to say sorry to everyone. But like I told you, like, earlier before I had started coming to, and I was like talking, she's like, hey, people are still in their process, so you have to be quiet. And I'd be like, oh, so sorry guys. And she's like, hey, they can still hear you, shh. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, it was like I was acting like a little kid, like I couldn't get it together. And so you know, I'm talking to Emily and telling her this story. Like, again, I went back to the whole shrooms thing, and there's this girl sitting on the couches on the side by herself. And she comes over, she goes, can I sit with you guys? And I was like, yeah, what's your name? And she tells me her name, and I was like, oh, hi, were you crying? And she was like, no. And then she goes, and I was like, oh, I just must have heard your sniffles. And though she goes, I'm so cold. Can I use this blanket? And it was actually my personal blanket, which I was like, when did they bring this blanket out? It was my personal blanket from home, but it was a cooling blanket because I run hot. So it was weird that I was so cold that night. I run really hot. So I was like, oh, she goes, can I use this blanket? I was like, oh, you don't want to use that blanket. It's a cooling blanket from home. It'll just make you colder. She goes, okay, can I use some of your blankets? I was like, yeah. So I give her some of my blankets, and I was like, oh, how old are you? And she just like had her hoodie on, and she was like this, and she like didn't want to tell me. And I was like, oh, and I could like read her mind. And I was like, oh, you don't want to tell me. That's okay. You don't have to tell me. And then she goes, 38. And I was like, you look great. Oh, you don't think you look great. You do look great. I just want you to know that. Like, don't think that. Why do you think that? No, you look great. Seriously, you look really young. Don't think that. And it was like I could feel her energy, that is an insecurity of hers. And if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but I could feel the energy that was an insecurity of hers, that she didn't want to talk about her age. And she wasn't from here. And maybe it was like, a sensitive subject that you don't talk about your age kind of thing. But I told her, oh my God, don't think that. And she was a Taurus queen, and she was May 16th. And I was like, oh my God, Taurus queen, my birthday was yesterday. We just had birthdays. And then she's like, I really want to lay down. I'm so tired. And so she takes my pillow and my blankets, and I'm like, hey, Emily, do you mind grabbing us some more pillows and blankets? Because she wants to lay down, but so do I. And Emily's like, yeah. But before Emily had left, I had been trying to tell the girl that came over the backstory. I was like, okay, so sorry. So this is what happened. This is what I'm telling Emily. So you have the backstory, okay? So I start talking. And then I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I feel like I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. And they're like, no. And I was like, I just feel like I have to rush through my stories because I feel like people don't want to listen to me talk because I talk a lot. And it's funny because like before that girl came over, when Emily and I were laying on the blanket, I was like with my eyes closed, and I was like talking a mile a minute. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Emily. Are you trying to sleep? And she was like, no, but you are. And I was like, I know. I'm so tired. Okay, so listen. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay, shh. Okay, but hold on. I couldn't shut up. There were so many thoughts coming out of my head. And so I was like, I'm so sorry. I can't stop talking. I'm sorry. And I kept apologizing. And so when that girl had come over, and I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I can't stop talking. I feel like I talk a lot, and I feel like I have to get through my stories really fast. And they were like, Emily was like, no, you don't have to feel that way. That's your own subconscious kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, I just feel like I always been told like to stop talking so much, or that I talk too much. And she was like, no. And so anyway, so I had asked her to go and get me, a blanket and a pillow, because this girl took it. And she goes, okay, I'll be right back, and I'm also gonna go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay. And so she gets up, and so I'm like, okay, so what happened was, and she's like, yeah, you do talk a lot. And then she lays down on my pillow. And I go, well, then leave. No one told you to come here. This is my space. And you came over to my space where I was talking to Emily. I was like, tune me out then, girl. I was so annoyed. And I was like, okay, I know she's under the medicine, but like, I'm processing in my space. And you came into my space. If you're watching this, you came into my space and then tell me that I talk too much after I just told you that is an insecurity of mine, that I feel like people tell me that I talk too much. And you go, yeah, you do talk a lot. The way that I wanted to punch her, I was like, rude. You know what? Maybe you do look 38. Just kidding. You don't. But I'm just like, why would you say that to me after I just told you that? I was like, that is so rude. You know what? You need to drink that third cup. So I was like annoyed. And so I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. So I asked for help going to the bathroom. And I remember I had my socks on and I didn't have shoes on. And so I asked for help, and someone was helping me go to the bathroom, and it hurt so bad because there were rocks, like pebbles on the floor. And I was like, ow, ow, ow. I was like, oh my God, I'm never barefoot. This hurts so bad. And ew, I don't want to go in the porta potty with socks. Do you have sandals I can use? And she was like, no. And it was like this helper that I had no idea who she was. And she was like, no. And I was like, ew, I don't want to go in the porta potty with my socks on. And she's like, it's fine. You can just wash them. And I was like, no. And she was like, you're just going to have to deal with it. And I was like, you know what? It's a good thing that we're leaving tomorrow and I don't have to sleep with these socks anymore. And so I ended up going to the bathroom. And then when I walk out, her name was Amanda. She gave me a flashlight to use in the bathroom. And so then when I walk out, I find someone else and I'm like, excuse me, can I get some help? And I think her name was like Whitney. And I was like, what's your name? I was asking everybody their name. And she was like, Whitney. I was like, Whitney, can you give this to Amanda? She gave it to me. She's like, yeah. And she like looks over. I was like, oh, is she right there? And she was like, yeah. I was like, okay, thank you. And then I walk over to the mat. I mean, not to the mat. I walk over to my blanket under the tree and my shit's gone. Like the blanket. I mean, I have my cooling blanket, but the other girl had taken my blankets. And I was like, okay, can I get some blankets? Because this girl was here and just took all my stuff. And then she's like, okay, I'll try to find some blankets. And I was like, and I could hear stuff going on from inside. And I was like, am I hearing things or are they making noises inside? She's like, no, that's inside. I was like, oh, she's like, actually, do you want to go back inside? And I was like, can I? It's warmer in there. And she was like, yeah, but you just have to be quiet. And I was like, okay. And so then she starts walking me back. And then this is another girl. And I go, ow, 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 ow. It hurts because I'm never barefoot. And she's like, okay, you have to be quiet. I was like, okay. So then she walks me inside and I go back to the mat in there. And that was pretty much like the end of night one. I kind of just like laid down, toss and turn, couldn't get my body to stay still. And I could not, for the life of me, stay still. Like I couldn't. And I was just moving around a lot. And then, I was hungry. I had to pee. My stomach hurt really bad. And I had to keep asking for help to go to the bathroom. And so they would help me. And then one of the guys was taking me outside and I was like, my stomach is killing me. And he was like, when you're done, let me work on your stomach. And I was like, okay. And so he ended up, I ended up going to the bathroom and then I was kind of okay after the bathroom. So I didn't say anything. And then, a little more time passed and I was kind of like awake. So I ended up, I was like, out of the medicine at this point, and so I ended up going back out there and I was like, hey, he was eating breakfast at this point. And I was like, hey, do you think that you could work on my stomach? Like you said earlier. And he goes, yeah, I will. And then I have to get some sleep. And I was like, yeah, no problem. So at this point I see the guy and the wife, the guy that had the whole thing at the beginning of the night. And I go, hey, and they're like laying on the grass and they call me over. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Oh my God, listen. And I tell her, and I was like, I was watching the whole thing so that I could tell you what happened. And she was like, oh girl. She was like, I was communicating with everybody telepathically in that room. She's like, I literally like manifested for you to have your breakthrough because I knew you wanted it. I was like, oh my God, really? She's like, yeah, I could feel all the energies and I knew what he was going through. And I was like, I'm so happy for him. And then they kind of started asking me. So I started talking. And then Joe walks by and she was like, hey, no talking. Because you're not supposed to talk to people while they're processing. But, the couple like looked up and they're like, oh, it's okay. Like, we're all out of the medicine. Like, we called her over. She's like, okay. And so she leaves. And I was like, Joe, you owe me a hug later. Oh my God, I forgot to tell you guys the best part. Okay, hold on. Time to go back. So when I'm laying under the tree, the shaman comes by and he goes, be careful what you wish for. And I was like, get loud again. And I go, bro, no, I fucking love you. And I'm like laying down. I'm still like in the medicine. This is before I started coming to. And I go, I fucking love you. I have almost 1 million followers on TikTok and I'm telling everybody about you. At first I thought you were a little full of shit because it's like, is the medicine really gonna work? I mean, my third eye's like already pretty open and I had the 4 cups and then I had the first cup and like nothing was happening. And then you open my third eye and oh my God. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I just stopped talking. And he's like, okay, gotta go. And he leaves and he's making his rounds, like checking on everyone, and I'm like, oh. And then I'm like back to, being under and talking to Emily. So that was like the first time he came around. The second time he came around was after I realized like, I gotta be quiet, right? So he comes around again and I was like, hey, what's your name? And he was like, Daita. And I was like, Daita? Taita? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, Daita, are you from Peru? And he was like, Colombia. I was like, oh, Colombia. Okay. I was like, I have to tell you something. I was like, I just want to say, listen. And then he bends down and then he calls Emily over because Emily was helping another person at this point. He goes, Emily, I need you over here. And so then Emily comes over and I was like, are you guys gonna document this? Is this like gonna be published somewhere? And there, he's like, no, I just need her here for this. I was like, okay, listen, I know that you already know this, you know, but I just want to tell you that you are so blessed. You have such a blessing. You have such a gift, and you're amazing. You really, really changed my life, and you really helped me see things that I didn't even know I needed to see and answer questions I didn't even know I had. I am so grateful for you. I just want you to know that you are so blessed. And I know that you know this, but I just wanted to validate it for you. And he's a Leo. And I was like, of course you're a Leo, makes sense. King of the jungle. And I was like, I just want to tell you you're amazing. And then he was smiling and he held his hand out and I was like, oh, how did you know I wanted to hold your hand? Again, telepathically connected. I was like, oh, can I hug you? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, can you help me up, please? And so he's like helping me up and he goes to hug me and I can't move my arms. So I'm able to stand, but he puts his arms around me and he hugs me and my arms are just stuck. And I go, oh, I want to hug you. And I can't move them. I'm like, I want to hug you. And he hugs me even tighter. And when he hugs me tighter, I fall straight to the ground. I go, bah, like head back, straight flat. And I go, and I start cracking up and I go, what the fuck just happened? I'm like cracking up. And then the people are around me because they saw me fall and helped me catch it. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I start laughing and I go, oh, I want to hug you. And he goes, it's okay. And they go, it's okay. You'll hug him tomorrow. You'll take a picture tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I love you. And he's like, okay, I love you too, you know? Oh, and I also forgot to tell you guys while I was under and I was talking to Emily, I remember I was talking to her and I didn't cry the whole time, except for about 2 minutes when I talked about my mom, because I said, oh man, you know, my mom would really benefit from ayahuasca. I wish that she would, but she's just too religious and she just won't do it. But I remember I was like, I got emotional and I was like, I don't want to cry. And Emily was like, no, let it out. That's why we're here. And I cried a good deep cry for a minute. And I was like, I just wish that my mom would have heard me and listened to me when I told her that the things that she was saying and the things that she was doing was hurting me. Mom, if you're watching this, I wish that when I told you so many times in my room, Mom, what you're doing is hurting me. What you're saying to me is hurting me. Please don't do that. Don't say that. It hurts. And you didn't listen. And Dad would tell you, one day she's not going to talk to you. You're going to ruin your relationship with her because you don't listen to her. She's telling you that it hurts her. And you didn't listen. And in that moment, I was like, I just wish you would have listened. I just wish you would have listened because I said I gave her unconditional love. I gave her unconditional love because I knew internally, I knew it's what she needed. I knew that she had a wounded inner child in there that hasn't healed and still hasn't healed. And I knew that I just needed to show her love. And I thought if I just show her enough love, she will show it back to me. And I know, and I was telling Emily, I know she did the best that she thought she could. But if she could just listen, if she could just listen to me, things could have been so different if she could have just listened to me. But she never wanted to listen to me. And she just wanted to tell me that I was wrong and that she knew more. And, that she was right and that I was wrong and that what I was doing or thinking or acting or anything was wrong. And I'm like, can you just listen to me and let me be me? Can you just let me express myself how I want? Can you just let me do what I want? Can you just let me be free? And she's like, no, you need to stay in this box. Otherwise, you know, this is what God wants and this is who you need to be. And I hated my life because of it. I hated my life being stuck in this box. I hated it. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Okay? I was suffocating in every fucking way. I was suffocating physically in my real life, like when I would wake up in my sleep out of breath, and I was being suffocated by the constraints that were put on me of following these rules that I did not want to follow. And I remember being like, why would God put me on earth if he was just gonna make me hate my life? It just doesn't make sense. And I was telling Emily this, and I was telling Emily, like, you know, my mom was very Christian and she would tell me that being gay was wrong. And like, I'm not gay, but like, it didn't make sense in my head. I'm like, how are you going to tell me that being gay is wrong? You're going to tell me that God makes every person and then he makes people gay and then he condemns them to hell. This makes no sense. It's just not logically right. And then I remember just like wanting to be friends with everyone and you know, being nice to everyone. And my mom would tell me, you're so naive. People are going to take advantage of you. You need to stop being like so nice to everyone, because I would see the best in people. See, this is the problem. You trust people too much. You're too kind. You trust people too much. You give them the benefit of the doubt and then they fuck you over pretty much. Like, stop being like this so nice to people. And I'm like, what's wrong with being nice? Why can't people just be nice? And so I became so angry on the inside because I couldn't be who I was, because I was being told that being myself was going to bring me these horrible consequences from being a nice person. And it's not that she wanted me to be mean, it's just she is so defensive of the outside world because of things she's been through in her life, and she's always has a wall up, like nobody can hurt me and that's it, you can't get through. So she wanted me to essentially be like that, and I was like, I don't feel that way. Like, I want to be friends with everyone and I want to see the best in people and I see potential in people. And you know, I would date these horrible guys because, you know, I'm like, oh, it's okay, like they're good people, you know, like they have potential. But you know, we won't get into the relationship trauma which stemmed from family trauma, but you know, and I thought, well, of course she acted this way because she was so protective of me, not only because of what she went through in her own life, but because she almost lost both of her daughters. She almost lost me at birth and my sister at 1 year old, and both due to suffocation. And she wanted to hold on to us so badly, to like never let us go and never see us in pain and never let anything happen to us. And she kept us in this fragile little box to the point where she metaphorically suffocated us. Mom, sorry, but you metaphorically suffocated us. And so I felt like I couldn't be me. I couldn't express myself the way I wanted to. And another reason why I feel like the medicine expressed itself with me talking a lot was because my mom and my parents and everyone around me always tells me that I talk too much, that I need to stop sharing everything with everyone. And I know that right now, if they're watching this, they hate it. They hate that I'm telling this. I can't hold it in anymore. I can't hold it in anymore because my whole life you have wanted to keep me down. Don't talk about me. Don't say my name. Don't talk about me with your friends. Keep it in, everything in. And look what just happened. I almost suffocated because I was being metaphorically suffocated by these rules of being kept in a box that I couldn't let it out. And so I'm sitting here and I'm realizing like why my mom did those things, and I'm having this compassion of like, I get it, and I wanted, you know, I'm glad they take our phones away, because at that moment I wanted to call my mom and be like, I get it. I get why you did it. You know, I understand, because in that moment you're so compassionate, you know, but then you come to and you're like, okay, but you don't need to call her. Okay, he'll be fine. It's like, sorry, Mom, I can't, because you don't get it. Like, you don't get it. And I've tried, but you fall back into your own old patterns, no matter how hard you're trying. And I know that you're trying. And I hope that one day you really have a spiritual awakening and you disassociate from the religion and the Bible. The Bible is not 100% right. I'm so sorry, Mom, to tell you that, but that's the sword that you will die on. And that's okay. I can respect the fact that you think that the Bible is 100%, and that is your belief. But what is the problem is that you don't respect my beliefs. You don't respect what I believe in, and you tell me that I'm wrong. And you're constantly sending me text messages about Bible verses and about God and stuff. And it's like, stop doing that. Stop sending me that stuff, because it's, again, you're trying to fit me into this box that you want me to fit into. You are suffocating. And how much emotional, like, baggage, like, and how much emotional, like, care that both of you and dad need is so much. Like, I can't take care of you guys. You're adults. You've got to heal your inner child by yourselves. I cannot keep doing this. I tried for the first 33 years of my life to do everything to make you guys happy, and it wasn't enough. It never felt like it was enough, even though you're going to tell me it felt like it was enough. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It was never enough. Nothing was ever enough. I felt like I still had to keep meeting up to your potential, and I still didn't meet it. So I had to let it go, because I was so unhappy with my life trying to make you happy. And even though I tried my hardest to make you happy, it still wasn't enough, and you still weren't happy. So it's not my burden to carry anymore. It is yours. You guys have to figure out your shit. You both have trauma that you've gone through, generational trauma, and you haven't healed it, and you need to heal it. So I am doing this process to break the generational curses, so that the karmic cycle doesn't keep going, and so that we don't have to keep having these problems over and over, having children, and keep repeating the cycle. Honestly, I could talk about this shit forever, but this is not the point. Okay, so sorry, but I know that this is the only way that probably I'm gonna get through to my mom, so this is how I had to say it to her. Mom, I'm sorry. I know that this is like, as a Libra moon, this is your worst nightmare, is me talking about this publicly. But just know that nobody knows who you are, and nobody gives a shit. And everybody watching this right now has trauma. Everybody has trauma. And the way that we are fixing the planet right now is, and not keeping that cycle of hell going, is by talking about these things and breaking the curse. So don't take it personal, because everybody that is watching this is going through the same shit. We're all going through it. And it's okay. We have to talk about it, or it's never going to get fixed. So finally, the next day comes. I'm out of the medicine. Sunday morning rolls around. Cole and I talk. Cole has this fucking orgasmic experience of being in like 7 levels of heaven. He's like loving life, and I'm over here dying. I was like, talk about polarity, you know, the birthday twins. You're over here and I'm over here. So anyway, we have about a couple hours before we jump into the next ceremony. Now, this one wasn't as crazy, so I'll try to make this quick, because we're on like fucking over 2 hours at this point. So the ceremony starts, and it's about 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Still wearing the same clothes, didn't even brush my teeth, haven't showered, ate about a bowl of fruit, and that was it. We go into the ceremony, we drink 1 cup. I only had 1 cup, and I think people might have had more, because they were surprised that I was under the medicine. I was under the medicine the longest out of everyone, I think. I didn't get out of it the entire day. We came home, and I still wasn't out of the medicine. But I had the cup. We laid out on the mat, and Sunday is supposed to be the good day. It's like Sunday church service, like Sunday morning service. It's amazing. It's beautiful. You're going to want to be out with the trees. You're going to want to be out in nature. Everybody's going to go outside. And so I'm like, okay, good. I had like a really hard experience last night, and I would like to, you know, what's funny? I like brought my notes to like read to you guys, but I remembered everything. Like, this is my notes from, like, it literally says 7 levels of hell and my stuff that I saw. So I hope I said everything, and I think I did. Oh yeah, well, I kept saying that I kept getting pulled to earth. I couldn't walk. Like, my body just kept being pulled down. Obviously, I see things through my third eye. Oh, and I talked about how much I love my sister, and how my sister's the only one in my soul family. And I was like, oh my God, I love her so much. I can't wait to tell my sister how much I love her. And then I said physical and emotional suffocation. My stomach kept hurting a lot, and I kept having to pee really bad, and that water is everything. That's all I kept. Oh my God. I wrote this the morning before we did our next ceremony, and I literally wrote, it'll make sense when I tell you the next part. Water is everything. That's what I wrote. Water is everything, okay? I wrote, everyone has a gift. And then I was like just talking about, you know, I couldn't put the blankets on myself. I was freezing all night. My trip lasted from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. Opened up my third eye, asked God for what I need, and he made it happen. Like when I was like, God, give me strength, he like made me get up. I couldn't shut up. I was so tired, but I kept talking. Emily could read my mind. Stories, and then yeah, oh yeah, and I kept asking people their birthdays or questions about numbers, and I knew the answers before they said it. I think I'm just reading through the first part. Water, thirsty again, pain, everything hurts, suffocating, no oxygen, hitting people, I have lungs, breathe, yeah, loss of bodily movement, relearn how to move, see, crawl, everything, ask God for air, strength, circulation, yeah, telepathically connect. I need help doing everything. I'm so thirsty. I kept writing that. I'm so thirsty, and I put love everyone. I'm so thirsty, I need water. Okay, so I wrote that 5/21/22. So I wrote that in the morning so that I could you know, remember. So I really feel like I'm not gonna have time to get through this next part because oh my god, it's about to be midnight and I have to go to work. But I'm gonna just try to breeze through it really fast. So I wrote my intention for 5/22, and I wrote love, bliss, light, wisdom, kindness, clarity on how to fulfill my purpose while serving myself and others, happiness in Jesus' name. And then I did a whole bunch of hearts around it. Okay, so that was my intentions, and this is what happened. And this one, let me see. No, yeah, I literally came home and I wrote the entire trip down. So nobody better have paused and read it. I'm gonna tell you right now. Okay, so what happened was the second trip I got stuck on the mat, and I'm just gonna go through the notes, and that way maybe we can make this go faster. I got stuck on my mat, so I drank it, and right away I had to pee, and I remember turning over to the girl next to me, and I go, oh, I forgot to tell you guys, the first night when I came back in from being outside, I was so cold that the guy next to me, Brian, he was my guardian angel. He was like my adopted dad. He was like hugging me and giving me his body heat, and we're not supposed to touch, but I was so cold. He goes, are you okay? I'm like, I'm freezing. And so he was giving me his body heat, which was really nice. And then when we were up, we talked about our experiences and realized how similar our trips were. I don't like my fucking lip gloss. Ew! I hate it when lip gloss does that. When it gets like that crusty thing. You girls know what I'm talking about. Ew. Gross. Sorry, guys. That's nasty. Anyway, you know what it is. So, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. Cole and I were like sitting in the hammock, and Courtney came over and she's like, is that the birthday twins? And so she brought us over a birthday gift, and this is what I got. Look at that. So cute. She asked us if we had a choice. Now, she didn't tell us she was bringing this, but she said, if you have a choice of an eagle, an owl, a wolf, or more psychedelics, what would you pick? And so Cole picked the eagle and I picked the wolf. And so she brought these over, and we're like, oh my god. And Cole had been wanting one the day before, so it was like perfect. And then also it came with a hummingbird. That is so cute. Isn't that so nice? Okay, so the next day I'm like laying down and I'm like, oh my god, I have to fucking pee. Dude, I have to go to sleep. It's fucking midnight and I have to work in the morning. And I was like, dude, I have to fucking pee, but I have a body high. I can't move. And so I was like, well, you're gonna have to hold it. So I'm literally glued to my mat. I can't get up. I cannot get up. Now, this trip was very mild at the beginning. Very mild, not a lot going on. I was like kind of blank, and I was like, man, what's going on? Because like I want to be able to tell people what I see, but also he told everyone, hey, you guys can move outside, take your buckets, take your pillows, your blankets, go outside, lay down, find a spot. You're really going to want to be in the fresh air. And I remember I opened my eyes and I see people getting up and I was like, I physically cannot move. I physically could not get up. I was glued to the mat. And I was like, why am I glued in here? And it was fucking hot. It was so hot, but I couldn't get up. So I'm physically glued to the mat while everybody goes outside. And there's like a few people inside still. Like there's the shaman inside and then there's like a few people. Now, before we started this, one girl got her third eye open before the ceremony because she didn't feel it the first 2 nights. And he did it to her, and then he turns to me and he goes, she fell for it. And I said, I know, good luck. Because, you know, I got my third eye open. It was wild fucking night. So I'm glued to the floor, and it's like a very light trip. But I got clarity on yesterday's trip because I kept asking, like, why did I experience that? What was the point? Why did I have to, like, see the infinite loops of hell and have souls leave my body? Like, what was the point of that? And so they told me, or she told me, I felt like it was like a collective of people telling me, like, you know, a collective consciousness, but like they always say like, oh, Mama Aya was telling me this, and like I didn't get that feeling. I just felt like it was like they were telling me, like maybe my, you know, my Syrian star parents or something were telling me, well, we wanted to show you life before you came here. So what you saw was life before you were born. We wanted to show you why you were here, your purpose. And you came here to help end the pain and suffering of humanity. And that's why we had to show you how long humanity has destroyed itself over and over again. And that's why you didn't feel the pain while you were in it, and you weren't a part of it. You were witnessing it from the outside looking in because you weren't here for that. You weren't here for that destruction. But we had to show you that so that you could understand why it is so important that you're here now. And I was like, oh my God. And I got like emotional because like, thank you. Like they really were like, you came here with a purpose. You came here to help people. And that's why I've always been like so helpful. And you know, you guys tell me like on my TikToks, like, oh my God, you're always like so helpful and like shouting people out kind of stuff. It's just like who I am. And it's like, I don't ever feel like I really get anything in return, but I don't ask for anything in return because I just genuinely want to help people because it's what I would like done for me. But I feel like people don't pay it back to me. Like I pay it to them, but I just genuinely want to see people succeed, and I want people to have what they want so bad that I'm constantly like, what can I do to help you have what you want? You know, like if I can, you know, shout you out on my TikTok because I've gained this following and I can, you know, help you get more success. I want you to have that success, you know? So, they told me, they're like, we had to show you how much humanity has destroyed itself over and over and over again so that you could come here and help the collective and the pain and suffering. And I was like, oh, thank you. And so they go, we showed you that before you were born. Now, before you were born, they tried to kill you. Those souls that were stuck in that infinite loop of hell, like in that pain and suffering, they tried to kill you. And you internalized those souls, because I'm like such an empath. You internalized those souls and they were inside of you. And before you were born, they tried to kill you in the womb. And that's why I was born with my umbilical cord around my neck. So when I felt like I was suffocating, I was reliving my birth. So the souls started coming out of my body, like maybe when my mom went into labor, the souls, like, and she had contractions or something, the souls were starting to like come out of me. But when I was born, she said I just slipped out. I had no oxygen. So they got to me by then. And then they said, yeah, you were reliving your birth. And so when the night before, when I felt, remember how I told you guys there was only 2 people next to me when I started choking, but I felt like 7 people's hands on me. I was reliving like what happened at the hospital when I was born. And when I was born, it was like all these doctors or nurses were trying to revive me. And so I felt all their hands on me again, trying to help me. And so I relived my birth. And that's why I was acting so erratic like a baby. Like I couldn't function. That's why I was so cold, because I had essentially like died. I was freezing. I couldn't see. I couldn't walk. I couldn't move. I couldn't hold the cup. I had to relearn how to do everything because I was born again. So they said, we had to take you back to the beginning. You've always wondered why you're here. And you've always wondered, like, why would God send me here if he was going to make me hate my life? Like, what is the point? Well, here you go. We had to take you back to the beginning. And the beginning was, you came here to help humanity, end the pain and suffering. And I started crying because I was like, wow, thank you, God. Like, you've made me so strong. And to deal with everything I've dealt with. You've made me so strong. And I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Like, I can't believe that I'm still here. And I was at my lowest and I hated my life. And now I'm so excited for it every day. Thank you. And I was like, wow, this is a great day. You know, spoke too soon. I was like, wow, what a great day. So I'm sitting here and it's a very light trip. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I guess that's what I'll tell my homies off TikTok. And then, you know, they're kind of playing music. I'm kind of chilling, listening, vibing, super chill. And then my stomach starts hurting, like really bad. And I'm like, fuck, my stomach, it was like turning. My stomach was hurting so bad. And then it's like, I felt like I had to throw up, but I didn't personally have to throw up. And so I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to throw up. And then everybody was outside. And so I would hear everybody start throwing up outside and like, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you guys. Please keep throwing up. Like, I literally feel your pain. So inside, I was feeling everything that everybody outside was feeling. And so I'm like, thank you. Please keep throwing up because you're hurting my stomach. Guys, I am so tired of doing this for you. Like, can you guys please just carry your own fucking shit? Literally. Please. Like, I've carried so much for you guys all this time. And it physically hurts. I'm so tired, please. And then they keep throwing up. And I'm like, yeah, let it out. Let it out. And while they're playing the music, I'm like pulling the energy from my stomach. So I forgot to tell you guys earlier, the guy worked on my stomach and did this like energy healing on me and stuff. So he's like, you can do it yourself. So while I was under, he was playing music for me and these like chandelier things. And I was like pulling the energy out. And then I would hear everybody throwing up. And then I started going, and I was breathing out like all of their energy because they were sending it to me and I'm like sending it back to them. Come on, guys, you got this. So then I would tell them, guys, please look at the sun. Look at the sun. And I'm still inside. And I'm telling them, guys, please look at the sun. Thank you. Can you guys raise the vibrations? Please raise the vibrations. I need you to raise the vibrations. I need you to raise the frequencies. And then everybody would start laughing. And I was like, thank you. Thank you. So that was happening. And then I kept being like, I was like, oh my God, I'm so thirsty. Like, I was so thirsty. It felt like the Sahara Desert in my mouth. But this time I had the ability to get up and move myself. So I'd like get up and get my water and I would take a sip. I'd put it down and my stomach would turn every time. I'm like, oh my God, my stomach hurts. Oh my God, my stomach hurts so bad. Oh my God, I'm so thirsty. And then I like take the water and then I'm like, oh, my stomach. Oh, so I'm going through this cycle over and over. And I see that, I start hearing the shaman talk to someone and I'm like, huh? And I look over and it's the girl who had her third eye open. And I was like, oh, I didn't know she was in here. So it clicks. The girl that was, had her third eye open, that's the reason I was stuck inside. She needed my energy for her trip. So that's why I wasn't feeling anything during my trip for the first half, is because she was pulling my energy for her trip. And afterwards I talked to her and I asked her how it was. And she said, it was really uncomfortable at first, but then it was really peaceful. And I was like, yeah, you were literally pulling my energy out of me for your trip. And she had a quick fucking trip. It was like an hour long. Her trip was over. She was calm. She was peaceful. She was great. I'm like, you're welcome. You used all my energy. And then after she was done with my energy, people outside were pulling my energy. And I'm like, okay, guys, like, Jesus, I'm in so much pain. So one of the friends from the retreat said it's called not clairvoyance, but like clear sensitive, I guess. So pretty much because I'm like a super empath, I can feel everyone's fucking pain and energy. And then people use me for my energy, and it's been like that my whole life. People come into my life, they suck my energy, and then they leave. And when I got my Akashic record reading, they said it's because like that's part of it. Again, to help end the pain and suffering in humanity, I will put myself in pain for them. So I will be the martyr, I will be the punching bag, I will be the one to take everything so that they can help grow and ascend in their process. And so that's why I was like, dude, God made me really strong to keep putting up with this shit. So she ends up going outside with the shaman, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm happy for her. She had a good trip. She's very calm and peaceful, not crazy like mine. So then this is where the cycle starts of like drinking water, setting it down, stomach hurting, drinking water, setting it down, stomach hurting, this endless cycle of this pain. And I was like, but I'm so thirsty. Like, what am I supposed to do? So the more I did it, it was like the plant medicine was telling me, keep drinking the water until you realize that the water is making you sick. And so it clicked, and I was like, oh my God, the water's making us sick. The water's dirty. Ew, the water is so dirty. And I said out loud, I was like whispering, and I was like, oh my God, our water's so dirty. Our water is so filthy. And I was like, oh my God, but what do I do? I'm so thirsty. Like, what am I supposed to do about the water? Like, and by the way, what I was drinking in my Yeti was bottled water that I brought from home. So they had filtered water in like those big blue jugs. But at that moment, I had been drinking my bottled water from home. So bottled water, okay? And I was like, oh my God, the water's making me sick. And so at this point, I called and I said, is the shaman in here? Oh, by the way, when the shaman was still in there, I was like, can I get peppermint? I can't find mine. They give you this little peppermint to smell if you have to throw up. And the shaman like raced over and wiped my nose with peppermint and left and went back to the girl with the third eye. And I was like, okay, thank you. It was like burning my nose, but it helped me calm my stomach down because my stomach was hurting so bad. And then, so I was like, is the shaman in here? And somebody was like, what do you need? And I was like, I need clean water. The water is making me sick. And so they didn't get what I meant, but I was trying to figure out what can I do to get clean water. And so I thought, oh, the shaman has to bless the water. That's what popped in my head. Bless the water. I was like, this is the only way I'm going to get clean water. I need blessed water because I'm drinking bottled water right now and it's not helping. Right. So I wait. And nothing happens. And I take my little blindfold off and I go, and I look at Vitali, the guy that does the breath work. And I go, do you know if anyone's getting me water? And he was like, I can get you water. And I was like, can you please bless it? The water is literally killing us. It's disgusting and it's making me so sick. And he was like, yeah, I'll bless the water. He goes over to get the water. And the minute he goes, I want to say it was like a cup, but like the world I just saw the water like overflowing as if it was crying water. It's like so hard to describe, but I could see the water overflowing, like crying, like it was just falling. And I could feel the water and how much they were poisoning our water and how much they were putting so much shit in our water. And I just started bawling. Like I didn't cry the day before. I told you guys I cried for like a minute, right? No, I was like, like that. No joke. Wow, I'm a great actress. And so I was like, crying. And I'm like, I can see all of the shit they're putting in our water. And I was like, and I heard voices asking me why. It was like I could see you guys. I can see you guys asking me why. You guys were asking me, why are they doing this? And I said, and out loud, I said, I don't know. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know why they want to kill us so bad. I'm so sorry. And I was just like bawling. Look at me. I really should have been an actress. And I'm like, I could see how bad they've been trying to kill us for so long, not only with the food, with everything, and now with the water. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I just felt so lost. And I was like, I'm so sorry. It's like I was trying to tell you guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know. I don't know what we can do, you guys. I don't know. What am I supposed to tell them? That's what I kept saying. What am I supposed to tell them? What do I tell them? I don't know why they're doing this. And so I'm like crying because I was so frustrated, because I was like, I want to have the answers for you guys, but I don't have the answers. I don't know what to do. And so Vitaly blessed my water for like 10 minutes, and he's like singing over it, praying over it, doing everything. And I calmed down. I cried for like, a good while. I calmed down, and he comes over and he goes, here you go. And I start crying, and I say, I saw everything. They're trying to kill us with the water. And he goes, it's okay. Here's some blessed water. Remember the power of water. And I said, thank you. And I drink his water, and I start throwing up the other water. I drink his water, and it was like, water. And then I was like, and I'm like throwing up, purging the other water, the toxic water. And the musicians start playing music for me, and I'm like crying in my bucket. And then they're playing music for me, and I just kept shaking my head, and I was like, I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know. And so I kind of like get myself under control. I remember I was like, oh. And then I kept being like, focus on your stomach, like, you got this. And I'd be like doing breathing exercises and trying to recenter. So I calm myself down, and I set the bucket down, and I lay down. And a few minutes passes by, and my body gets really hot, like a furnace. And my body's always hot, but it was like my body was like, okay, get up. You need to go outside. Get fresh air. And I was like, I'm so tired. I can't get up right now. And my body was like, get up, go outside, get up. And I was like, I don't want to. My body's like, get up. And I was like, can I get help, please? I need to go outside. I need fresh air. And so Vitaly comes over. And like I said, Vitaly is literally a fucking giant of 7 feet tall. And he pulls me up, and I go, oh, you are like an Egyptian statue. And so he pulls me up, and I'm like to his waist, and I'm like, thank you. And sorry, I'm looking at the notes so that I don't forget anything. So I go, oh, can you get my blessed water, please? And he's like, I got it. So he brings me the blessed water. He's carrying the blessed water, and he's holding me. And I'm like, and I keep falling to the ground. The ground keeps pulling me like a fucking magnet. And so it keeps pulling me down. And he goes, hey, I need you to walk. And I was like, I'm sorry. I am so heavy. I'm so heavy. And so I keep falling. And he goes, I need you to walk. And I go, okay. Because everybody else is outside. Like, I only have like one fucking helper. So then I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, Alex, walk, make it to the door. One step at a time. Boom. It was so heavy. Every step I took. Boom. Okay, one more step. Boom. One more step. Boom. And then I look at the door. And the door is closed for outside. And it's closed. And Vitaly tells one of the musicians, hey, can you help open the door? The musician is also under the medicine, so he's moving a little slow. And so he like sets the guitar down. And I look at the door, and I know my face was like, because I look at the door and I saw the door closing in on me like I was never going to make it outside. And I go, open the door, please open the door. I need fresh air. And he's like, and he like rushes and opens the door. And the minute he opens the door and I see the sun shining, the trees, the birds chirping, the wind and, blowing in the air. And he opens the door. The minute he opens the door, I go, ah! I need fresh air. And then I'm like, the people run over to me, and I go, I need the earth was fucking pulling me down like a fucking magnet. And I go, help me get to the grass, please. I need the grass, please. Help me. And so they like pull me over, because I'm like on the rocks. So they're like dragging me, because I couldn't walk. I'm like legit, like what is it? Limpless? whatever. I have no control of my body at this point. And I was like, please, I need the grass, help me, please help me. And so they like helped me get to the grass, and like literally the minute my footsteps on the grass, like it, one of the guys said it wasn't a gentle like your knees and then you go. No, he was like pop. It was a plop. And I was like, oh, I know. I literally felt the earth pull me, and I went bah, face down, stomach down, head like this, like bah, the hardest fucking thing. It felt like I got pushed. And I know they weren't pushing me. They were trying to help me. But no, the earth was like, whew, pulled me down. And I went, bah, and I went, thank you. And I start grabbing the grass. And I was like, thank you. And I just start crying because I could feel the earth crying to me. And it was like asking me, like I was like this. And it was like asking me, why? Why are they killing me? And I was like, and then I got louder and I was like, oh, and I punched the ground and I was like, I don't know why they're trying to kill you. And then I like have my eyes closed and I yelled to everyone and I went, they're killing the planet. They're killing us with our food and they're poisoning our water. And I was like so mad. And the like helpers had to come help me, and they're like, hey, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I had to tell everyone that. And at this point I'm seeing everything with my third eye, okay? And I was like, I'm sorry, I had to tell everyone. They're like, here's some water. I'm like, thank you. And I'm like drinking water, and like that was pretty much it, except for the fact that I was under the medicine the entire fucking day. So I'm gonna wrap this up. So let me see again. Okay. So this is what happened. So I yelled at, and he's like, calm down. Here's some water. I drink some water. And I lay down like this. Like, I'm legit crucified on the cross, under the sun, bathing. I'm like, and I like calm down. And the sun is just, and then my body goes, okay, turn around. After a few minutes, I turn over and I sunbathe. Oh, wait. Oh, I started on my stomach, like I said. No, I started on my back. And then I think, whatever, either way. I started on one or the other, turned over to the other one, okay? I think I started on my stomach, and then I ended up on my back, and I was like, okay. And then my body got really hot. And so then I was like, can I get help moving to the shade, please? So then Vitaly comes over, and then he's like, yeah. And I was like, sorry, I got really hot. I need the shade. He's like, no problem. So he's like, okay, come up. And he starts lifting me up, and my legs go boom, back to the ground. I was like, I'm so heavy. I can't move. I'm sorry. And he's like, okay. And then he goes, she wants the shade. She wants the shade. And I was like, I want the shade. And so they're like trying to move me, and I can't move. And so then he like sets me down. I was like, no, I need the shade. And so I start crawling. He goes, it's okay. We're going to bring the shade to you. And I was like, oh, thank you. And so I kind of like lay down, and then they bring over this like canopy, like this tent thing. And then I hear the guys are like bringing it over, and I hear the guys go, I hear Vitaly go, when Muhammad won't go to the mountain come to Muhammad. And they start laughing, and I go, thank you guys. I love you. You're all so great. And I'm like seeing all these men take care of me with my third eye, because my eyes are closed. And I'm like, as you fucking should, motherfuckers. I've been taking care of you bitches my whole life. So they come over and they bring the kid. I'm like, thank you so much. While you're at it, can you guys manifest some wind for me, please? And then I hear one of them go, what? What does she want? And I was like, wind. I was like, wind, like the breeze. And they go, oh, you can call for the wind. And I was like, oh, okay. Wind, can you please come? Because it was like, there's no wind. And it was really hot. So I was like, wind, can you please come? And then I hear, and I feel the wind. And I was like, oh, thank you, wind. Thank you so much. And it's like, and it gets like a little louder. And apparently at this point, my other friend Rainey, who's under the medicine, was also told to call for the wind, because she's an air sign, and apparently she heard call for the wind. And not like from me, she just heard it from her in her trance. She heard call for the wind. So she calls for the wind, and then all of a sudden it felt like the fucking AC got blasted on me, and it was like fucking huge wind. And I was like, oh, okay, I got it, thank you. excuse me, can I get a blanket, please? The wind came. And they all just start laughing at me. And I'm like, oh, I'm the most fucking high maintenance person ever. And they were just like cracking up. So they bring me a blanket and I lay down there for a really long time. And I remember being like, excuse me, can I get help drinking water? And Vitali was like, I'm not allowed to help you anymore. You know, the shaman said I can't help you. And I was like, oh man, are you kidding me, bro? Come on, I need help. And he was like, you gotta do it on your own. You gotta do it on your own. And I was like, I physically can't move. And he was like, it's to your right. When you muster up the strength, it's gonna be to your right. I was like, okay. I think I legit was gonna die, but I could not physically move my body. I was dead. And I was so thirsty, and I'm like, God, I had no saliva. I had nothing to swallow, but I physically had to pee, and I could not move to get the water. And there was times where I was like, okay, I'm literally gonna die if I don't swallow something after sitting there for so long, that I would like open one little eye, and I'm like, I would see the cup, and I'm like, okay. And I would like turn around and I'd like pass out again. Like, I was so heavy in this fucking trance. And sorry, I'm looking through my notes. So the wind, yeah, the water. Okay, so I'm laying there for a long time, you know, just kind of, I don't even remember the images I was seeing in my head, to be honest. I think I saw Egypt. That's all I really remember. I think I saw like pyramids of Egypt, but I was just really tired and really thirsty, and it was just kind of like a blur. But my bladder was like, you have to pee, and it was like a good while before I made myself get up to pee. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to ask for help. So I'm literally like with my eyes closed, and I go, is anyone around me? Is anybody around me? I need help. And Brian, the guy that was my like bed buddy that kept me warm the night before, was there, and he's like, hey, I'm here. And I was like, Brian, oh, Brian, you're my guardian angel. Can you help me go to the bathroom? And he was like, yeah. And so he lifts me up, and I was like, oh, like everything hurt, like lifting up, and he lifts me up, and I was like, oh, I don't want to go into the porta potty barefoot. And there were sandals. There were just sandals next to me. I had no idea whose sandals they were. And I was like, I don't know whose sandals they are, but I'm going to use them for the porta potty. So I put them on. Now, I will tell you that I, again, was waiting for somebody else's perspective, and they were sitting across from me in a chair, and they were watching me like sunbathing and laying under the canopy. And then they saw when I asked for help and when I got up, and they said when I got up that it was really hard, and that it was hard on my knee, and that when I got up they saw, I guess, another soul or something leave my body. They said I saw a gray smoke leave your body from your side and go over there. And so, and then that I asked for help going to the bathroom. So at this point I asked Brian to help me to the bathroom, and he's helping me. And I was like, Brian, they're trying to kill us with the water. And he was like, he like didn't say anything. And I was like, it's really dirty. They're putting poison in our water. And he was like, oh, you mean just like the government and stuff? I was like, yeah, there are. And he's like, okay. And then he takes me to the bathroom. I use the bathroom, and I get out, and there's nobody around. And then the lady that was sitting there watching me, who, you know, later on told me the story of her point of view, I go, excuse me, can someone help me? And so I was like, excuse me, can you help me walk back? And she goes, oh yeah. And she gets up and she comes over. I was like, hi, what's your name? And she was like, Heather. She watches my videos. And then she was Heather. And I was like, Heather, do you work here? And she was like, no. And I was like, oh my God, you're a participant? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, wow, it's so nice that we can help each other. Thank you so much. And she's like, of course, that's what we're here for. But like, they don't want you to help. Like, they don't want participants helping participants while in the process. But like, I asked for help and nobody was around. So like, Brian, who was a participant, and Heather, who was a participant, both had to help me. And I'm so appreciative. They were amazing. And so she goes, do you want to go back into the canopy? I was like, no, I really want to go on my mat. The floor is so hard. And she was like, okay. So she takes me and she's like, are you good? Do you need anything? I was like, I really need water, please. And she was like, okay, I'll get you some water. So she takes me back to my mat, and then she tells me that she went to get me water, and that one of the helpers looked at her like, and then she just looked at him, and he goes, what does she need now? I'm like, cracking up. I'm like, I was so needy. And then she goes, what does she need now? And she goes, water. And he goes, okay, 1 or 2. And I go, and she goes, 2, because she wanted one for herself. And so he brought it over, and his name is Ryan, and he brings it over and he goes, here's your water. I'm like, oh my God, thank you, Ryan. You're amazing. Ryan was helping me a lot too throughout the whole thing, like carrying me to the bathroom. So at that point, I'm back inside and I'm trying to sleep and I can't. I'm spread out throughout like 3 mats. I'm like, because there's nobody in there, so I'm spread out through like my partner's mat, Brian's mat over here. I'm spread out everywhere and I cannot, my body cannot sit still, and I'm exhausted and my body's like moving. I'm shaking my legs. I'm turning, couldn't get comfortable. Like for, I want to say like 2 hours nonstop. I couldn't sit still. And I remember I was like, calling for Cole with my head, because I was like, dude, I have to drive back today and I'm so under the medicine. There's no way I can drive. I'm gonna have to tell Cole that he's gonna have to drive. So I was like talking to him in my head and I was like, Cole, can you come here, because I have to tell you that you're probably gonna have to unlock my phone, tell my sister that I'm gonna drive home, find the address. And I'm telling him all this stuff in my head, and I was like, can somebody get Cole, please? But like in my head, you know, I don't want to ask for him because we're all under the process, but I'm like, oh, I just want Cole to come in here and I want to tell him that I miss him because I miss talking to him. And then all of a sudden I hear, hey, do you need anything? And I was like, Brian? And he goes, Cole. And I was like, oh, Cole. And then Joe is walking by. She goes, shh, no talking. And I go, Cole, I called for you. And then he's like, are you okay? And I was like, I miss you. And he was like, I miss you too. And I was like, okay, bye. And then he left outside, and he later told me, he's like, I missed you so much. Like, I wanted to talk to you so bad and they wouldn't let me. And I kept asking, like, is she okay? Because I was so bored out here, but you were like really in your process. And I saw you come out and I felt so bad because I could tell that you weren't having an easy day today. And I was like, I wasn't. And so while I was in there, I was just tossing and turning, drinking a lot of water. Okay, I'm editing the video right now, and I just wanted to say that when I earlier had mentioned how I had brought my watch with me, as you can see, and then the part where you like adjust the time, I had kept it on, right? I told you guys that. I had kept it on because I kept checking the time constantly. Day 3 on Sunday, after I had my big freak out with like Mother Nature and the planet Earth and everything, I went back inside. Heather helped me back inside, and I remember I could not get comfortable. I told you guys I couldn't get comfortable. I was moving around. Brian, who was the one who had helped me earlier, and he was like the one that kept me warm with his body, he came in to lay down, and I was like, sorry, but I kept kicking him and hitting him and moving around and everything. And then I told him, I said, what time is it? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, I have my watch up there above my pillow. Can you hand it to me? He hands it to me. And I was like, what time is it? And he was like looking at it, and I was looking at it, and we couldn't tell what time it was. And I was like, it said like 11:15, but we started the ceremony at 11. So I was like, did I pull it? The little knob. I was like, did I pull it? He's like, yeah, it looks like you did. And I was like, why the fuck would I pull it? I didn't pull it. I did not pull it, because I remember checking the time before we started to know what time were we starting ceremony, and it was 11. And then all of a sudden it stopped at like 11:15 and it was pulled. I did not pull the fucking little knob on my watch, and I think like my higher self or something pulled it out so that I would stop focusing on the time, because you guys know how I'm like, I'm obsessed with the clocks, I'm obsessed with the watches, I'm obsessed with the time. And the whole time during ceremony, I kept looking at the time. How long is this? How long is that? How long have we been doing this? How long have we been doing that? And my higher self, or during the trip, it was like, stop worrying about it. Stop checking everything. And so it pulled it out. I had no idea what time it was the entire fucking day until the end, when they were like, okay, everybody's out of the medicine. We can start, getting together to do closing ceremony. And at that point, it's like fucking 6 p.m. I had no idea what time it was. I had no access. I didn't have access to my phone the entire day. I knew nothing. So it's so crazy how like it literally did what it wanted to do. Like, I did not do that. I did not pull my fucking watch. It's so fucking crazy. So I totally forgot to include that part in there. I wanted to tell you guys that. I also wanted to tell you that when I said, I need air, when I yelled, I need air, when I was suffocating, I didn't say I need air. I rewatched that part. I said, God, give me air. God, give me air, because like I was literally yelling out to God, God, give me air. And then that's when Joe said, you have lungs, you can breathe. And I was like, I have lungs, thank you. And I took a deep breath, and like I wanted to clear that up, because I need air so different than God give me air to me, because I really kept asking God to do things, like to give me the strength to do things, and every time I asked for it, he did it. So I said, God, give me air, and Joe goes, you have lungs, you can breathe. And that's when I breathed. When I said, God, give me strength to get up, because I couldn't get up, he made my whole body move and I got up. Every time I was like, God, give me circulation. And then I got really warm later, because Cole was really cold, so I started warming Cole up with my body, and then I got warm. So it's like everything I asked for, he gave me. So sorry, that was just a little intersection in here, so I could tell you guys that. So okay, bye. And then it got to the point where I had to pee again. So I finally had to ask for help again, and I was like, excuse me, can I get help going to the bathroom? And so Ryan comes over, and I was like, Ryan, can you help me put my shoes on? And so he grabs my shoes, and my toe kept getting stuck, and I was like, ow, hold on, I got it. And so I put one shoe on, but it took me a really long time, and then I kept trying to put the other one, and my hands just kept falling, and I was like, and he was like, I got it. And I was like, okay, thank you. And he put my shoe on, and I was like, oh my God, I keep having to pee. It's so annoying. Literally, I had to pee like every 2 hours because I was so thirsty, but then I had to pee. So then he gets me, and we start walking, and I'm like, fine for literally 5 seconds. I'm like walking, and all of a sudden, bah, I fall to the ground, and he catches me, and I fall, and I go, like passed out. And at that moment, Cole is walking by. He goes, whoa, good catch. And I was like, Cole. And then I'm like so drugged out, and then he goes, come on, get up. And I'm like, oh. I get up, and I physically cannot walk. There was like, again, 5 people. I'm like, and I'm hitting everything. I'm like jello. I'm like knocking things off. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I have to pee, but I can't walk. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. And so people are just carrying me. They're like, you got it, you got it. And then that's when Emily comes, and she goes, step, there's a step. And I'm like, oh my God, Emily, my stomach hurts. Oh my God, I have to pee. And she's like, it's okay. And so she walks me, and she goes, I'm so sorry, I can't do it on my own. And she goes, it's okay, do you need my help? And then she like opens the porta potty. I was like, can you just stand right there? So she stands outside for me. And then I'm done peeing, and I walk out. Oh my God. And this is like the most disgusting part. I am so under the medicine, and like the entire time I'm like hovering, or like a million fucking seat covers. I don't want to touch anything, right? I'm so under the medicine. I'm like, just stand right there. I like hover, and then all of a sudden I forget, and I fucking sit down on the fucking porta potty, and I'm like asleep. I'm like, and then I go, ew. I like get up, because I realized I'm like, ew, the whole fucking time. I made it the whole time, and I fucking fell asleep on this. And so I was so grossed out, but it was clean, thank God. And so I was like, oh, by the way, now that I see this fucking fly flying around, it's driving me crazy. While I was under on Sunday, I kept hearing buzzing in my ear like a bee, and it was like every time I was gonna get a download. And I was like, okay, thank you, I got it. So anyway, I go out, and I go, Emily's standing there, and I go, Emily, can I please sleep in my car? And she goes, no. And I was like, it's right there. I brought it so I can sleep in it. I can't sleep in there. It is so hot. And she was like, because you're still processing, you can't be in your car. You have to either be inside or outside in the fresh air. And I was like, and Ryan was there too. And I go, okay, I'll be outside, but can I have like a blanket or something, because the floor is really hard? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, and in the shade. And so they bring me over to like under a tree, and there was a blanket, and I lay down there, and they bring me a pillow. And then the guy comes over that had worked on my stomach, and he was like, can I work on your stomach? And I'm like, yes, please. He was like, I could tell it's still hurting. So he worked on my stomach again, and what he was doing was he was like pushing down on the spots that hurt without even knowing. He was no talking. You're just going to work on your breathing, and no, but of course I kept talking. He's like, shh, no talking. I was like, okay, sorry. Shh, no talking. I'm like, and so he's like pushing down, and then I'd be like, and he's like, let it out. I'm like, oh, like I could feel the pain. And he's like, let it out, breathe it out. And then he did that for a while. And then they had like Joe playing the harmonica, and like all their energies around me. And then towards the end, he's like, I like calmed down. I'm like, oh. And he's like, okay, tell me where it hurts. And I was like, nowhere. And they all start laughing. I'm like, bro, you're a miracle worker. Thank you so much. And I had asked him, I was like, how do you know what to do? And he was like, I don't. He's like, when I'm under the medicine, they tell me what to do. So it really helped my stomach. And honestly, like after that, it didn't hurt anymore. But I think it's because I was in that environment and I was like sucking up everyone's energy. So after that, he just told me to like lay down and just like enjoy it, you know, kind of thing. And after that, I started coming out of the medicine. At this point, it's like fucking, I want to say 4 to 6 p.m. It was so late, and I came out of the medicine enough to talk to people, and that's when I started, you know, talking to Cole, and I talked to you know, the girl who had her third eye open, like 2 girls that had her third eye open. I talked to them and stuff like that, but like I feel like nobody wanted to talk about their stuff. Like I was so open with mine. I wanted to hear everyone's stories, but like nobody wanted to share their stories. And I guess people's stuff was like really personal, but mine didn't feel that personal. So I was like, because mine was more about the people more than me. So I was so open to talking about it, and like I was sharing my story, and people just like didn't really share theirs. Like Cole shared his, and that was it. And then we ended up having closing ceremony, you know, that night. And I remember telling the shaman, I'm like, I'm so under the medicine. He's like, it's okay, I'm gonna do something and you're gonna come out of it. I didn't come out of it really. He did like a lot of, he said like, I want you guys to close your eyes and think about what you don't want to take home with you. And I was like crying during that a lot. It was still very heavy. I was crying a lot. And I remember they were all helping clean up, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I want to help, but I'm still so under the medicine. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. And then I was crying a lot. And then he gave us these like the leaves out of his like thing, which by the way, when he had opened my third eye and he was going around doing that to everyone, all around the room, one leaf fell on me, and I was like, oh, it's about to go down, bitch. And it did. So anyway, so he gave us one of those leaves, and he was like, what I like to do, they said that like literally our energy was just amazing, and they were like, we don't say this a lot, and we're not bullshitting, like you guys had such good energy, this group. We sometimes the energies just clash, some people just don't get along, but you guys are all like, we're so in sync, you guys were so open to the process. And it's so true. I feel like there was a lot of light workers there. People were really open to like working through their shit. Like nobody held anything back. It was amazing. And so I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to go again, even though not at the moment. I remember telling Cole, I was like, I will never do this again. I will never do this again. It's like one and done. Next day I was ready to do it again. He was like, really? I want to do it again. And I was like, I don't. I can't do this. This is so hard. It was so hard because it was so heavy, and like I was upset that like everybody got to have their moment of peace and I didn't. It was like I thought I got peace, and then all of a sudden, you know, I go into another trip about how I have to tell you guys that they're trying to kill us with the water. So on the way, we do the closing ceremony. He gives us these leaves, and he says, I don't do this with everyone, but when I have a group that I really like, and you know what, if you guys are watching this, let me know if he lied about it, if you have gone to his other stuff. I take these leaves, and I want you guys to think about what you don't want anymore, what you want to let go of, and we're going to burn it in the fire. So he gives me my leaf, and my leaf was literally split down the middle, but like had a little bit left at the end. And it had one side that was full and hard, like perfect, and then the other side was like more smaller and fragile and had a crack in it. And I kept staring at it, and I was like, this is so representative of like my life. And I was like, this side that's full, like this is where I want to be. I want to be full, I want to be intact, I want to be strong, and I want to let go of everybody else's shit. I don't want to carry everybody else's shit around. I don't want to keep fixing broken people. I don't want to be broken. I want to let go of this side. I need to let it go. I need these people to fix themselves. I can't fix everyone. And I want to just be whole and focus on me and put myself first. And so when I was the last one to like go to the fire, because my stomach was killing me, so I went to the bathroom again. And then I went to the fire, and I like, you know, said all that in my head, and I ripped it apart, and I threw the broken side first, and then I threw the other side, and then I went up to the shaman, and I was like, can I hug you? And I hugged him, and I just started crying, and I was like, thank you so much. You've changed my life. You're amazing. I love you. I can't thank you enough. And he was like, stay in the light. It's gonna be hard, but stay in the light, okay? And I was like, okay. And he told us that we have to do this like ritual of like taking a candle and like putting it over your body, like obviously off, like a tea candle, like running it over your body, over your arms, your legs, like your third eye, your heart, your crown, and saying a prayer of like, you know, burn the things that I do not need or need to see, and give me light to see what I need to see, and kind of thing, right? And you say your own prayer. So for the next 6 days. So I've been doing that. Today is the last day that I have to do it. And then what you do is the next day you leave it next to a half cup full of water, and then you let it burn throughout the night, and whatever is left in the little pot you put into the water, and then you throw that onto the earth and you let it go. So I've been doing that. And then but when I got home, so like, thank God Cole had asked if he could get a ride with me, because that's literally he was my lifesaver. He drove us back. I was like, I'm so under the medicine, there's no way I could drive back, and he was better than me. So he drove back, and we spent the whole time talking, and talked to his girlfriend on the way back, and I got to meet her, and then they went straight to Mexico. I was like, you got the energy. And he really does have the energy. Oh my God, he's hilarious. I just need to tell you guys, when he was under, he was writing his notes down, like, and I'm like, how do you have the energy to write right now? He's so full of energy. And he literally was like jumping on his mat, fucking going at it. And then he goes, wake the fuck up, people. And we all like look over at him. This was like, obviously I wasn't under yet at this point. It was like the second night. And he goes, we are God, and yells it so loud. And then I go, what did he say? To the guy in front of me. And he goes, I think he said we are God. And I was like, oh, I thought he said we are gay. And we were like all cracking up. And then he's like, no fucking way. No fucking way. And he's like writing and writing. And he's like, no fuck. And then he goes, happy fucking birthday. And he's like on this fucking level, and we're loving it. They ended up pulling him outside because he had so much energy. He was just running around the fucking place like crazy. And he said that when he came to, he was outside in the grass freezing cold, and he was pissed because he was like, I was just God, because he got to that level of oneness. I was just God, and I just helped all these people ascend into being God, and then I wake up in this world and nobody gives a shit about me, and I'm sitting here in the cold. What the fuck? And then later people were like, no, we left you with the blankets, but you were running around like crazy, and threw them around. And he was like, oh, okay. So it's kind of like me with a sweater. So we ended up driving back, and I was like actually really scared to sleep the first night when I got back, because I could just hear all of the sounds, like the screaming and the crying, and I could hear his chanting. And it was like the chanting that you say, that he was saying when he was trying to muster up these energies. And I was like so scared. And then I started like hearing like voices, or I started like feeling things, and I was like praying, and I was like, God, please, please, please let me have a peaceful day. Help me have the peaceful day that everyone had today that I didn't have, because my trip was so dark and intense. Please let me have a peaceful day. I just want to have a peaceful day. I don't want to sleep and be scared. And then I kept hearing the shaman go, stay in the light, stay in the light, stay in the light. And I was like, stay in the light, stay in the light, stay in the light. And I went to sleep. And in my sleep, I astral projected back to the retreat, and it was so peaceful, and I could feel all of the healers and everybody around me, and I was on the grass, and I could feel the earth. And it's like I knew that physically I was in my bed. It was like being on the trip again. So it's like I physically knew I was in my bed, but like I could feel the earth's vibration as if the bed was the earth. I could feel it, and my stomach was kind of hurting, and so I'd lay on my stomach, and it was like healing my stomach. And I could see everyone around me, and I was like, oh, thank you. And I could feel the vibrations, and it was really heavy. Like my body again was very heavy. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then that gave me the peace that I needed. And after that, it was like changed, because it was like, wow, first of all, I'm so powerful. And God, helped me so powerful to get back to that place and find the peace that I needed. Oh my God, my neck is killing me. And I felt that peace. And then the next day, I was so tired. I ended up so I took Monday off. I came back Sunday night. I took Monday off. Obviously, you need to have Monday off. And then Tuesday, I gave up my shift, and I was so happy because it reactivated again. Monday night to Tuesday in my sleep, I was like back there again, feeling the medicine, and like I was feeling some of the negative stuff, and I was like, no, we're not focusing on the negative, focus on the positive. And again, I could feel the earth, I could feel the ocean, I could feel the wind, I could feel all of that. And it really reactivated, and I couldn't physically get out of bed, even though I had to pee so bad. I physically couldn't get out of bed until 1 p.m. And I actually texted Cole, and he was in Mexico with his girlfriend, and he said it reactivated so bad that he saw himself drinking the cups again, and he started mumbling around, thrashing around in bed like he had at the retreat, and that it scared his girlfriend. And so it took a minute to get back centered. So then we had a meeting that day, an integration meeting with a lot of the people from the group, and a lot of people said it reactivated that night. And a lot of people were saying like they weren't doing okay, they were a hot mess, they were a freaking train wreck, they were trying to figure things out, they were still processing. So the guy that was holding the integration, he was like, this is why I do this, you know, we need to have this meeting, and you guys need to know that like the ceremonies was just the first step. Like this medicine will be working in you for the next 6 months. And the more time that goes on, the more pieces are gonna start showing up, and the more things are gonna make sense. Whew. And yeah, every night I sleep, it kind of reactivates. It's been a week now. It's Saturday. I'm filming this on Saturday. So it's been a week since I had that whole experience, and every time I sleep, it kind of reactivates. And like the fact I'm going to sleep so late today, and I woke up really early. It's like already 12:40. It reactivates when I sleep, but it's not bad. It gets better every time. And I realized that the medicine activated or made me react the way I did for a couple reasons. As you know, I had to physically feel my birth. Okay, I went through that. I felt like I was physically and emotionally, every other way suffocating. Okay, so I did that. It showed me what I needed to see. It answered the questions as far as why am I here? What is my purpose? Okay, it answered that. And the way that the medicine manifested itself in the way that I couldn't shut up, because I've always been told that I'm too much to tone it down and to be quiet. It manifested itself in letting it all out. And second, the way that I lost control over my entire body, and I had to ask for help for literally everything. I was the only person that reacted that way. And I feel like it's because I don't ask for help. I don't ask for help. I don't like to ask for help. I don't like when people ask me for help, like in the way that like they can do it themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's like a trigger for me. It's like you're able body, do it yourself. So it's like, as I'm saying this, the medicine was like manifesting itself. It's like, I guess, like now thinking about it, it's like, I wonder if it was like, you can help people if they ask you for help, which I do, but I usually help people without people asking for help. As you guys know, I said that earlier, that I just like helping people. I like helping people when they don't ask for help, because I don't ask for help. So I want to help others because I wish people would help me, but I don't ask for help. So, the medicine manifested its way in like, you're going to lose all of your bodily functions, and you're going to ask for help literally doing everything. Every little thing, you're going to ask for help, because it was telling me like, let go, ask for help, girl. And when I got up to go to the bathroom when Brian was helping me, I was like, oh my God. And that's why she said that it was hard for me to get up with my knees, and that I'm telling you, see, they say that everything's going to make sense. So when Brian helped me up, I was like, oh my God. And I was trying to get up, and I remember telling him, damn, Brian, no wonder my back's been hurting my whole life. I've been carrying the weight of the whole fucking world on my back. And he was like, let it go. Let it go. And she said that she saw me having pain getting up on my knees, and that she saw this gray smoke leave my body. Oh my God, I have to tell her that. How fucking crazy. So I just remembered that. And that's why I said, oh my God, I'm carrying the weight of the world on my back. And he goes, let it go. And I guess it left me. And so the medicine like manifested itself in being like, it's okay to ask for help. and stop thinking you have to do everything alone. You don't have to. I told him I'm so tired of, like, even in my sleep, I'm saving the fucking planet. Like, can I catch a break? Can I just catch a break? I said, when I go home, I just want to sleep without feeling like I have to save the planet in my sleep and in the waking life. I just want to relax. But I was annoyed because they tell me that I have to tell you guys about the water. Okay. I don't have really a lot of time, but I'm going to wrap it up. They're killing us with the water. I know a lot of you already know this. They're putting a lot of toxins in our water. I did watch the Waters documentary. So a lot of people had told me to watch it before I went to ayahuasca, and I just wasn't called to because I felt like it was propaganda, and I was like, I'm not going to watch this. Like, there's not fucking snake venom in our water, you guys. Like, that's a little much, okay? But after, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe the water thing. So somebody, the musician that had helped me, you know, open the door that day, him and I were talking, and he goes, when you kept saying they're killing us with the water and they're killing us, you know, he goes, I thought, is she seeing that? But now that I see your content, I see that it was just in your subconscious. And I was like, this was not in my subconscious. I was like, I'm not an environmentally friendly person. I don't fucking recycle. I eat whatever the fuck I want. And I literally just think, okay, they're going to kill us. They're going to kill the planet. Who cares, right? Like, what am I going to do about it? I can't do anything. This is not in my subconscious. This is not in my subconscious. The stuff that I saw was not in my subconscious. And I think that people need to realize that, like, things that you see are things that I was not thinking about. Like, I didn't know that me suffocating as a baby was trauma. How would I know that? And I didn't know that, like, my purpose to come here is to help end the pain and suffering. And I didn't know that they're killing us with the water. None of this I knew. So this was not in my subconscious. And I then said, okay, I guess I have to watch the documentary, because people kept telling me, watch it, watch it, watch it. And I didn't watch it. And as I was under, I got a message on Instagram and said, watch this. And it was the Watch the Waters documentary. And I had gotten that message so many times and ignored it. And while I was under seeing that in my vision, I got that text message. Obviously, I didn't have my phone on me. It was put away. But when I looked at the time when I got home, and I looked at the time that somebody on Instagram messaged me the link, I go, holy fucking shit. They sent it to me as I was seeing the fucking vision. So I said, I gotta watch it. So I watched it. And of course, I'll be making a video to tell you guys about it. And I know that people are going to think it's crazy, but it's not crazy. They're killing us in the water. And if you haven't watched it, I believe it's on Rumble. Watch the water. I literally took notes while I was watching it because I wanted to tell you guys about it. So as you can see, watch the waters. And I have my notes right here. Yeah, they are putting, it's a whole thing, but pretty much they're putting a lot of toxins in our water, and they're starting off with very low income areas. And when I came to, Brian, my bed buddy, was like, why did you say that when you were under? I wanted to talk to you because, you know, I watched the Watch the Waters and it just seemed a little weird. But then, like, I have a friend who said, like, his dogs are getting sick from drinking the water. And then we got interrupted. And so I didn't get to finish talking to him. But he did just message me on Instagram, and I can't wait to talk to him. And then I talked to Chelsea, and she goes, oh my God, when I was in Texas, I didn't have any issues, but I moved to a low income area in Louisiana, and nobody can drink the tap water here because it makes you really sick. Now I have a filter, but what about the people who can't afford a filter? On top of that, my dogs were completely fine until we moved here and they started drinking the tap water, and now they have a bunch of fatty, like, tissue tumors everywhere, and their teeth are rotting. They're putting shit in our water. And I was like, they're trying to kill us with the water, Chelsea. They're trying to kill us with the water. They're putting poison in the water. And if you guys haven't watched the documentary, watch it. But pretty much COVID, they're saying this, the theory is that COVID came from snake venom, and they can put it in the water and they can kill us with it. And the thing is that the snake venom will attack whatever's already wrong with you. And they also have it in the vaccine. So whatever is already wrong with you, it'll attack that. So it's like, if you have heart issues, you'll die of heart. So then it doesn't look like it's from snake venom. It's like it just attacked the part that it needed to attack. And then the smokers, people thought, oh, it's an upper respiratory infection. So of course, like, smokers are the ones who are gonna you know, die the most. And there was less than 5% of smokers that were dying, and it didn't make sense. And of course, Fauci and the CDC were like, this is the best time, and the FDA, this is the best time to stop smoking, because they wanted more people to die. What happens is that the tobacco and the smoke from smoking was covering up that part in the nervous system, or whatever it was called. The nicotine protects against COVID because it stops the venom from reaching the receptor. So it's a receptor in the brain that it literally, the nicotine receptors are affected by venom, which means brainstem that controls the diaphragm. So pretty much there's like there's a, I gotta like rewatch that part because I was like trying to write while like listening to everything at the same time. But there's a receptor in your brain that if it gets, you know, the venom, it will attack the what is it? It'll attack the, oh my god, the diaphragm. But because smokers already had something that was attacking that part, which is the smoke and tobacco and everything, it was protecting it. So if they got COVID, they were the least dying because they already had a coating of something over that part. But people who weren't smokers, it was attacking them right away. So that's why so many people said it was an upper respiratory infection, but then smokers weren't dying. So on top of that, there's like a lot more, like how it got started, how they put it into, how they're putting it in the water, how they're saying that if, oh, you know, because if people have COVID in like your city and then they like poop and pee into the water, then it gets in the water and then we can test the water and tell you that like in 4 days, there's going to be a huge outbreak of COVID because of how much COVID is in the water. And I was like, that's so backwards. Like if people already had COVID, then it would already be leaving their system. It wouldn't tell you how much more COVID is coming. Like they don't know what the fuck, they're fucking lying. And then there's like all this other shit, like that they've been testing the water from January to September of 2020, but no proof of the results. They were already seeing how much it was in the water. And then on top of that, they were putting, the water system specifically targets certain demographics, like I said, and then they were putting people on ventilators while they had COVID, and then 80% of those people were dying, and then they would die by day 9 because what they would do is they would sedate those people, and then they would cut off their oxygen, and then they would sedate you so you couldn't fight it because they were killing you with the ventilator. And then you know, it went through like breaking down what does corona mean and virus. Virus means venom, corona means crown, gold ribbon at the end of the Pope's hat. And so essentially it could be translated to the Pope's venom. It sounds a little crazy, but I don't doubt anything at this point, especially the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, Antichrist. So the mRNA extracted from king cobra venom is in the vaccine. So it's the same thing that's in COVID is in the vaccine, which I said from the beginning. I was like, they're both the same thing. If it's not going to kill you from COVID, it's going to kill you from the vaccine. They want to make sure. So the Department of Defense and the UN funds Moderna's CEO creating anti-venom medication. Like, why is the Moderna CEO creating anti-venom medication unless there was a wide amount of people that needed this medication against anti-venom? How many people are getting bit by rattlesnakes a year? Not that many. Why would you need to why would you be funding an anti-venom medication? And then let's see. Oh yeah, so he thinks, the guy that like figured all this out, he says he feels like COVID was to mess with our DNA because our DNA is so special, and because we have God inside us and Christ consciousness, that the point was to kill that and keep us very low vibration, which we've been knowing. So he wanted to attack whatever he could inside you with the snake venom. He's like, how great is it that they use the snake, which is an evil sign in the Bible, as Satan and the serpent, to attack you. So that's his theory. And although, you know, that part is a little like, it could be true, could not be true, that's how he sees it. I do believe the stuff about the water. I do believe the stuff about the water because I saw it. I saw it in my vision and I had no idea about the fucking venom. So I suggest you guys watch the Water documentary on Rumble. It's only 47 minutes long. Very informative. I know some people are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. I'm not. And right now I'm getting some stuff to test the water. I remember when I first moved to San Diego, my sister and I were both getting sick from the water. My sister was breaking out a lot on her body. She was like, I know it's the water. Her stomach was hurting a lot. My stomach was hurting a lot. It took us a long time to get used to the water here, and we still aren't used to it. I have a filter on my shower. I have a filter on the faucet, plus we use a Brita. So we like double filter our water, and it still feels like it's not enough. The water here is really dirty. Especially because we're so close to Mexico, like no offense, but we know the water's not clean there. And when I was in Florida, the place that I lived at only had 3 violations on water, and San Diego's water has 17, according to the internet site that we looked it up on. So it probably has even more. I'm getting some testing to check the water, and I will be definitely sharing that with you guys so that you guys can also get some kits to test your water, because they're trying to kill us with the water. And honestly, like, what can we do? I don't know. And that's what happened in my vision was, I don't know. The best we can do is try to filter our water, boil our water. It's a lot of work, but they're really trying any which way to kill us, guys. And they're not gonna win. You know, we've already shifted into the new earth. They're not gonna win, but they're trying. I really just want you guys to keep the vibrations up, because we can heal ourselves. We are healers inside of ourselves, and we don't need anybody else to heal us. These doctors aren't going to heal us. These people, we can heal ourselves with God. Like, that's it. We don't need anyone else. And we have God inside us. We're not God yet. Okay. We have a long way to go to get to his level or its level, but we have God inside us, and we have that strength to heal ourselves. And I think that's also like part of the ayahuasca was remembering that you are strong and you can do this. And so that's why they kept trying to tell me, like, you have lungs, you have legs, use this, use that. I'm like, okay. And I had to like remember that I can do all these things myself. I really can. And that was part of the healing process. With the process of the medicine was trying to tell me, like, you can do it. You are strong enough to do it. You can do it. You're here for a reason. You can do it. And that's why I brought over Mother Earth, because we have to save her. They're trying to kill her. They're not going to kill her, but she really was sad, and she was crying to me and asking me why, and I said, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I don't know. So let's be more cautious of what we're doing. And it's not really us. It's them. The negative entities that are running this. It's not us. But, you know, what little bit we can do, let's spend more time in nature. Let's ground ourselves, center ourselves, and remember that we are very powerful, and we create the narrative. We don't have to give in to fear. We don't have to give in to the propaganda. We don't have to give in to the narrative. We got this. So thank you so much if you made it this long. At this point, I don't know how long this was, 3 or 4 hours. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to my story. If you made it to the end, please comment, orange, you glad I didn't say banana? And then I'll know that you made it all the way to the end. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. I have a lot of big new stuff coming. I'm working on merch. I have merch coming for you guys. I have, a lot of ideas. I do want to tell you guys that I will be volunteering at the Hummingbird Church retreats, ayahuasca retreats. So I still have my job. So unfortunately, I can't start yet. They approved me to start literally next month in June, July, or August. I told them I still have to work, but I literally am such a master manifester, because I said I really want to go back. But I can't be affording that much every weekend. It's like $900, every month. But I said, God, if I could just be a volunteer, I want to help people. I want to help people the way they helped me. They were so helpful. And like, after experiencing it, like, I feel like I can understand if somebody reacts like I do. I lived it. And so I talked to the shaman, and he was so grateful that I've been sharing his information with you guys. And I told him I really want to go back and I really want to volunteer, but I can't afford it. So I'm going to see if I can trade some services. And I was like, honestly, you should just let me do it for free, because I'm advertising you on my TikTok. And he's like, I got you. So he talked to Courtney, and Courtney reached out and said that I'm good to volunteer. And so I'm so excited. I can't wait to be a part of it. I can't wait. Like, I hope to meet you guys someday, and you guys will be there. I'm not going to be at every single one, because again, I have a job until I quit my job. Then I can probably do every single one, but also they're like kind of far, and I'd have to drive a lot, and like gas is like $7 a gallon right now. But I'm going to be doing a lot more. I still need more practice with the medicine, so I'm going to work on that, but I cannot wait to just go on this journey. Like, the fact that I went from like, I'm never doing this again to like, I want to do this every month. It's just opened my eyes so much. And like, I just know that there's so much more ahead. And I know that the medicine will help me get to where I need to be. So I have so much more coming. And I thank you guys for going on this journey with me. You guys have really been here. Like, some of you have really been here since the very beginning of 2020 and have watched my entire shift. And I appreciate you guys so much. And I just can't wait to keep sharing this experience with you guys. Like, we're going through it together. We're growing together. And thank you for letting me share my experience with you. And I know that it's helping a lot of you guys. And the reason that I wanted to do this and I wanted to share my experience is because I felt so alone my whole life, but especially, and I was crying, telling everyone goodbye. I said thank you because I felt so alone, and now I don't feel alone anymore because I have people who understand me, and I feel like I didn't have that before. And so that's why I'm so big on sharing my experiences with you guys, no matter who it upsets. I'm sorry to my parents or to my family or to anyone that I upset. I have to do this. It's part of my process of healing the collective, of helping people, helping humanity overcome, because it's time to break the curse. And so I have to share my experiences so that other people don't feel alone. I felt so alone and so unhappy. And now I'm so happy, and I can't wait for the next day to come. And I never felt that before. So I thank God so much that I'm here. I never felt that before. And I thank God so much that he has brought me this far. And if you guys feel stuck and you guys feel like you don't know your purpose and you don't understand why you're here, don't give up. Do not give up, because you have such big things coming your way and you don't even know it. And you're going through the hardest things right now because it's just making you stronger. And when you get to the finish line, you're going to be like, wow, I had to go through that to get to where I am today. I would have never made it had I not gone through the shit I went through. I stayed calm during my ayahuasca trip because I have been through so much in my life that at this point it's like, okay, what else are you going to throw my way? You know what I'm saying? So don't think that what you're going through is for nothing. You're going through it to get to where you're supposed to be. Just remember that. And it may be confusing and you may not understand. You may feel so lost and confused and like, what the fuck? Who am I? I don't even know who I am. I don't even feel comfortable in my body. You're exactly where you need to be. Trust the process. And I know it's so fucking cliche, but trust the fucking process. Because I'm still not at the finish line, but I'm way better than I was at the beginning. And I know it's only going to go up from here. I just know it. And I'm so excited. And I can't wait. And you guys are a part of my journey. And I love you. And it's fucking 1 o'clock. I got to go to bed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Please, if you actually made it all the way to the end, comment. Aren't you glad I didn't say banana? I love you. I hope to see you guys soon. Please follow all my socials. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. I post on my story on there. I'll be announcing my merch store soon and so much more. I love you. And if you're going on ayahuasca, don't do it until you're called to. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys that. No, I didn't. I did tell you guys. It's been 4 hours. That's what I meant when she calls you, she will find you. So just be ready. Be ready. Expect the unexpected. Like, whatever you're thinking, throw it out and be ready to see the worst things you can possibly see. But just know that you will come out on the other side so much better. Don't do it if you're scared of the trauma, because then that means you're not ready. You have to be ready to see anything and everything. So I wish you luck. I love you. Please, if you're doing ayahuasca, tell me. I would love to know. And if you're going to do Hummingbird Church, tell me even more, because I would love to see you and meet you guys. I love you. Thank you for being here, you guys. I will see you next time. I hope I can get this monetized because it's 4 hours and hopefully I can get paid for this video. All right, I'll see you guys soon.